thing with you. I think, man, I want to say YouTube was actually like behind Spotify in the monetization, but then they changed the policy. Was it this year or earlier this year? I can't remember, but they changed it. Yeah. And and like you were saying, you have to have so many views before you can even register or I'm sorry, qualify to be, considered for monetization from the ads. Yeah. So it's like, so then you're kind of like saying, well, if I got all these videos on here and you're playing ads, where's that money going? Because you're saying I'm not getting it until I have like 100,000 views or something. So your video is just up there making money for somebody else. Making money for somebody else. Yeah. But you're keeping it all pretty self-contained. I guess we should. He gave me the green light. I guess we should share it now since it's looks like it's gonna be live.
Oh yeah.
Your your personal one always shows up before the Kron studio.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess it's because of secondary page.
Yeah, and Facebook, man, they make it like business pages are shit. Like, I use my business page like a fucking landing page now because it's not gonna show. Nobody's gonna see it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, turn your volume down.
Is that why? Was that live?
Yeah, it's you.
Oh, my bad.
Hey.
What was that, Mitchell? Professional?
Yeah, probably. Well, you did a pretty good job last week of mentioning to turn the volumes off.
Oh yeah, that's all good. It's all good, Miss CPR sound engineer.
I did not say that.
Go ahead, Mitchell.
Oh, that's funny. Now I'm all red-faced.
Somebody's volume's still up, fellas.
Maybe it's me.
It's probably you.
Let me check. I can hear it a little bit. Is it gone now? Are we good?
Yep.
I think. Well, tonight is very, very, very exciting, I want to say, because this is episode 10. We actually made it to episode 10.
I can't believe we're here. I didn't think. Look, when Mr. Pepper was on, he said most podcasts don't make it past episode 7. They flake out.
Really?
And I Googled it, and that was a fact.
It's coming through your speakers.
No, speakers are off. Somebody's phone's up. I'm telling you. It's me. We're down now. Professionals. 10 episodes in, we're still doing this. Anyway, we made the episode 10. I'm super proud to be here.
I am very excited that Angela is here tonight. This is quite the honor to have our
so ridiculous.
Our own local celebrity in here.
Yeah, something like that.
You've had a super busy day. You're a super busy person. Thank you so much for squeezing us in.
Thank you for having me.
She had a speaking engagement this afternoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where at?
Are you tired a little?
It was here. It was with a women's group.
Oh, sounds like a good time.
It was a good time.
Should have invited me.
It was with a women's group.
I get it. No, I get it.
Might have been a little bit, catty, I guess, is maybe what she's
oh boy, yeah.
into.
That is not what I'm saying, sir.
Yeah, I'm not interested in all that. I'm just a guy that shows up in a nice shirt and smiles.
That counts for something.
Yeah.
Angela, we go a little bit back to Biloxi High. I had a lot of the same friends in the same circles. Your bestie Natasha was on here recently, talking about her doula work and business, and you have your own business with Purpose by Ange.
I do. I love Tasha. It's funny that living in the hometown that you grew up in is funny because we didn't necessarily directly hang out. You and I, Tasha and I, didn't necessarily directly hang out, but that doesn't mean that like now we get to interact, and thanks to Facebook, which I know Facebook gets a real bad rap, but it does connect you a little bit, and it's nice to be able to kind of see people that you knew and kind of reconnect and really make adult friends out of them.
And I was gonna say it's kind of nice also to kind of see people that you went to school with, familiar faces, and see kind of like how things turned out 20 years down the road.
Hey, you didn't have to say that.
Yeah, it's always fun to think back of like, oh, that guy's gonna be somebody, and that guy ain't gonna be nothing, and here we are, and you see who's who. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Mitchell, obviously super successful, obvious. And then you see the quarterback of the football team, you know, just having a tough time, and a little piece of you, a little happy about that. Go ahead, Mitch.
We're talking about high school. What's the background on you know? I guess I should disclaim too that, you know, I mentioned that, you know, for anyone who doesn't know you is gonna definitely know you after tonight. Because their first thing's gonna be like, what is she doing on this show with these two jabronis? this professional young lady and who's a motivational speaker all across the coast. But the background, you said being in the same town all your life, and you know, I guess this, you know, if you want to start there with, and then
Sure. So went to Biloxi High. Graduated in 2000.
But you were born here in Biloxi?
Born here. Oh, we're going way back. Okay, born here, raised here, lived here my whole life. Went to Biloxi High, graduated in 2000, left, swore I'd never come back again because I hated the coast. I hated Mississippi. And went to Loyola for broadcast journalism. And then shifted to music business because I started a music business program, and then partied entirely too hard, lost my scholarship, and came back home. And yeah, and then blah blah blah. 3 kids later, here I am.
Well, you definitely have the proper education for this.
Oh yeah, you're well qualified to be here with us.
We do not have journalism degrees.
Look,
that's what I like to start the podcast off with. We do not have degrees in broadcasting.
Look, have you seen these koozies? You know how much time this took?
And I don't think I ever took a class on music business. I think we pretty much gave away all of our March ever. So we probably should have done that.
Yeah, we know the music industry in and out. We're very successful, obviously.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, yeah. Music business is BS. So,
what do you think of the music business? We were just talking about Spotify before we went live.
Yeah. So, you know, I think the music business is a lot like a lot of big businesses nowadays, and luckily, I feel like there's a light shining on the corruption, on the imbalance, on the inequity of it all. And you know, I think that it's really incredible that it's starting to come to light that the artists end up getting the raw end of the deal every single time, and the big people who sit in their offices and make these decisions make all the money, you know, while they do the musicians do the work. I think it's complete bullshit.
It's a very polarizing double sword, right? Because you have art. We have a few artists on here so far, and, you know, asked them what their thoughts on Spotify were, and they're like, it's a great vehicle to, you know, get my music out there. But on the other side of that sword is somebody's figured out a business aspect of it to make. What was the CEO? The CEO made $2 billion. It was reported he made
Spotify,
$2 billion, right? So somebody's figured out the business mechanics of you uploading your MP3s. And then it gets into, well, you have all these artists saying, well, you should be paying me more, you know, for my streams or whatever. And I remember, like, one of my favorite bands that was popular when we were in high school, Everclear. I remember that guy, he like held up a check and it's like, look, I only made like $300 from Spotify, and this was off of, like, you know, 3 number 1 hits, you know, and that was it for the year. He's like, it's a joke. And I don't know. It's very I don't know.
Lars was right.
Well, I was gonna, say, you create so much content on your own, like with your videos, and I could not. It does not seem like it would work at all for you to throw your videos up on YouTube and get 0.001 because you're very, very, very productive. So it's like, what would be a good business model for someone like you who's constantly making videos and posts?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. Because even, we were talking about Facebook, even the Facebook business pages are bullshit because, they want you to buy ads, they want you to boost, they want you to do that, and they're not going to serve them unless you do that. So you just kind of have to network your ass off for one thing. But I also think we just need to demand a shift and change. Taylor Swift, when she demanded that when Apple Music came out and Apple Music wasn't going to pay their artists for 3 months because they were given the 3-month free thing, she was like, no, F that. Like, that's not happening. And I feel like more people like that, or we have to rely on more people like that to really demand a change, because the president of Spotify doesn't need $2 billion.
Does he?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Jeff Bezos doesn't need
not the way he's making.
It was was it Jay-Z? It was Jay-Z that went and did Tidal, right?
Him
and Jack White
Ted
and
Nugent,
a whole bunch of other people, and they're like, well, he's making $2 billion. We can get together and make $2 billion. Shit, let's put our records and catalogs all together. But I guess that was for maybe like artists who own their own, publishing rights.
Yeah. I mean, you see with Michael Jackson, with Prince, and with all those artists who don't own their own, masters. Like it's good that it's all like it's being discussed and it's coming to light, because it does affect more than the music industry in the long run. But I don't know the answer to your question. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm just winging it as I go along.
I mean, even Kanye's posting like
his
screenshots of his contract.
Yeah,
I think that was a big deal.
That's incredible.
I don't think you can consider Kanye seriously for anything.
Absolutely, you can.
You can.
Kanye's a big deal.
Now, don't get me wrong. The dude has issues, but him posting his contract, that's a big deal.
It was.
I feel like his action. He. Did you see the David Letterman episode on Netflix where he came on and explained he was diagnosed bipolar, and if he doesn't he doesn't like the way the medication dumbs him down, and so then he like kind of weeds off of it, and then he goes and jumps on stage with Taylor Swift, and does all these crazy erratic, his erratic behavior comes out when he starts being bipolar. Right. So I mean, for someone, you can't ever tell, is he having erratic behavior at that time, or is he medicating himself and he's just doing this because he wants attention? There's so many things you would have to filter through to say Kanye's being serious about, anything. Yeah. I mean, you're right that you don't know what his motivation is or what his intent is, but it doesn't change what it can do. You can have malintent and still do good. That was not on the show notes. Yeah, we kind of went off on a tangent on Spotify there. What happened after high school? I mean, what happened after the crazy parties at Loyola?
Hey, I want to talk about the crazy parties at Loyola. What happened there? I never went to the big fancy university.
How did those early days of partying at college?
Is it like the movies?
Your motivational speaking of today.
That's a good way. Like, just bring it back around. I don't even know what to say. So high school was easy. College was not, and I was not prepared, and that's probably my own fault, but I didn't have to study in high school. I needed to study in college, and I didn't know that.
Because you were so smart?
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't have that.
Damn.
I didn't have that fortune.
Yeah,
shit. What was it? Trigonometry was freaking hard.
Oh, well, yeah. I had to study for like trig and stuff, but like in college, I needed to study every day. I did not study every day.
College algebra. I had to go to the learning lab every night or day. to get through that.
Yeah. So when I came back, I went to JD and I took college algebra, and I actually ended up, I don't even know what the phrase is.
Did you like JD more than Loyola?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. What?
I loved Loyola. I loved it. And I'm not even Catholic.
The parties or the school?
The school. I loved the school. I loved the curriculum. It's a liberal college, so you get to choose things like philosophy and the artisan and things like that. And
I mean, I was serious asking that question because I actually enjoyed junior college more than Southern Miss.
Now, granted, my experience is bitter because I'm stuck back in Mississippi and I failed out of college, and so it's not as if
this is how you feel now, or this is how you felt then.
This is how I felt then. I do not feel that way now.
You love Mississippi now, right?
So oddly enough, I have 3 kids. And I have an incredible support system here. So I love where I am.
That's how I feel.
Mississippi has a long way to go, but I also feel like I have an obligation to be a part of that. So I don't necessarily see myself leaving.
Anytime anybody gives me shit about why are you in Mississippi, why don't you move here or there, I'm like, because this is where my support system is. This is where I grew up. This is familiar territory for me. This is where, I feel like I could raise my kids and, I know.
Yeah. If anything happened at any given moment, I have at least 5 people I could call and they would come help me, Right. Whereas if you just move off, that's scary shit. That's starting off, especially being a single mom, that's just starting from scratch. So, and like I said, I really feel like I have an obligation to be a part of some of the changes that need to happen here or that are happening here. So.
Which is why you're one of the many reasons you're here tonight is because October is Dwarfism Awareness Month, and you are starting a Mississippi chapter for advocacy for families with dwarfism. You want to? I mean, I'm skipping a whole bunch of time.
Hey, we did a segue though onto the note stuff.
I'm skipping a whole bunch of notes here, but
at least we're back on the notes.
Yeah, I was like, because I was going to go into the whole thing, Jonathan and Aaron, they were living in New Mexico and they moved back here, and I guess Aaron reached out to you or Jonathan did, and the next thing I hear from Jonathan, he's like, yeah, we're starting a Mississippi chapter. You want some bracelets? And I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? What, Mississippi doesn't already have something in place? What is, right. I was hoping you can talk about what you're doing with this Mississippi chapter for advocacy, and what Mississippi does not do as a state, as on a,
Yeah. Awesome. So LPA is Little People of America, and it is a national organization for support of people with dwarfism. And by definition, dwarfism is simply someone who is, I think they say 4'10" or shorter. I forget where the cutoff is because I'm far below it, so it doesn't matter to me. And so I just started getting involved about 3 years ago. I ended up with an opportunity to go to New York to sit on a panel for a pharmaceutical company that is developing has developed a cure for achondroplasia dwarfism. And so the panel was for mothers of children with achondroplasia, and 2 of my girls have it. Aiden is 11 and Malika is 6. And
little mouse.
Oh, little mouse. And so I got a free trip to New York. It was amazing. And while I was there, I kind of discovered this whole world of LPA. I knew of the organization, but I didn't realize how encompassing it was. And so I found out about a bunch of Facebook groups. So when I came home, I started joining the groups and connecting with all these other LPs because we don't have that many here on the coast. And then I started going to meetings. Mississippi didn't have a chapter then. And so I went to 3 regional meetings. I got to present at a few of them. And then that's when I was like, okay, we need to start something here. I want my girls to have something here, because seeing them being able to interact with other LPs
right.
was incredible.
Right.
Aiden, we pull up to the hotel in Florida, pardon me, and the first thing she says, she says, Mom, there's a boy. And she's not like boy crazy. So I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't understand. But what she was saying is that there's a boy who was a little person. She had never seen one. Like, she'd only seen girls because my mom is first generation achondroplasia. And so she'd only seen girls, and she was just like, her mind was blown. And then Malika met a girl, which Malika's pretty small, like even for being a little person. And she met someone who was tinier than her, and they were like thick as thieves the whole weekend. So when I came back, I was like, okay, we need to start something. And so I put it on my goals for 2020. Well, you know, we all know what happened in 2020. And so I was like, well, I need to figure out some shit. Like, what am I going to do? What am I not going to do? Well, I'll put off the LPA thing because we won't be meeting anyway. And then Jonathan, who we went to high school with, who I didn't necessarily hang out with, but knew.
Through Dale.
Old Dale.
Reached out to me. And then I connected with Erin, who is so lovely. I just adore her. And shut up. And because they have a son, I didn't say, they have a son who has achondroplasia. And so 80% of achondroplasia children are born to average height parents. And that fact fascinates me. Like, I learned that in New York, and it fascinates me. That's insane to me. And so Erin and I started talking. I told her how, you know, they said they were moving over here. I said how I wanted to start a chapter. She gets the ball rolling she starts setting up meetings and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing this. All right, cool. So we are doing it. They voted on it. It's official. We haven't voted for officers or anything like that. We have our first meeting. This is coming up Sunday. We're doing a Halloween party on Zoom, of course. And so it's for the whole state of Mississippi. They haven't had a chapter in decades. And so it's like one of like 2 states that didn't have a chapter. So it's really exciting.
Just because of the low population?
I don't know. I mean, we do have a low population, because a lot of states have like multiple chapters. You know, we don't have really? Jackson is
multiple.
Because
why multiple? For different
metro area, like, because there's a larger metro area, there's like a concentration, and then and it also makes it so the point of a chapter is for a lot of socialization and advocacy. So it allows people to join together, interact, hang out, and then you know, then you can learn about different ways to advocate and such. And so with it being the entire state, you know, once we are able to start meeting in person, we're going to have to like move the meetings around. And so that means that not everybody's going to get to go to the meeting. So having multiple chapters means that you can more than likely go to the meeting if you're in that chapter.
Right. I think I was asking you like what stage the chapter was in, if like if you were the vice president or president or where.
So we
was
haven't had any elections, but Brooke, Erin, and I are pretty much the core, like founding fathers, founding mothers. And so right now it just is what, like, it's just we're approved, we're established, we call ourselves the Mighty Magnolias.
I like it.
Yeah, you know, we put it out to vote. I wanted I don't even remember what I wanted now, so it doesn't even matter. But we're having our first Zoom, we're having a Halloween Zoom. And I don't know if I should say it because it's a surprise, but I sent everybody Halloween packages. I'm so excited. So excited.
Surprise!
Watch the mailbox.
So, you know, because inclusion matters, representation matters, seeing somebody who looks like you matters. And so I'm just thrilled to be in Mississippi. You know, God love her. It's tough because there's a lot of ignorance, and so I feel like if any state needs a chapter, it's us.
Yeah, we need a lot of help.
I think
Phil's getting offended over here.
I think Mississippi's doing just fine.
As long as Mississippi's doing is last, Phil's shining.
Look, you go.
Big fish in a little pond.
When I was a kid, I wanted to go to the worst performing school, so I'd be average.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're the smartest person there.
I am 100%.
So, okay, so you got the Mississippi chapter going.
Yes.
It's rolling. And you went to Loyola. You partied real hard.
I did.
You came back. You did JD.
I did.
And then what happened? You had some babies.
I got married. Had some babies. Went to Tulane. Got an actual degree in health and wellness. Got a bachelor's in health and wellness from Tulane. Got divorced. Thank God. Started a business.
Was that something that you couldn't do while you were married?
It was something that I never would have even considered while I was married. I was in a very toxic marriage. He's a narcissist.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were talking about Kanye being, bipolar,
And he's bipolar.
and you were married.
I was married to Kanye, basically.
Oh,
Not
so
really.
how'd that? Well, I mean, I guess that didn't turn out too well for you.
I got 3 kids out.
So
the
you're
deal.
saying you can sympathize with Kim?
Maybe that's where my point was going earlier. I
felt, when he did that, when he came on David Letterman, I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she does all kinds of stupid shit with taking the photos of her butt and stuff, and I'm just like, but then he comes on, and I'm just like, oh man,
yeah, it's real.
Like,
yeah,
you're not a celebrity genius.
Mm-mm.
You're this whole other chemical imbalance, product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were not able to start a business while you were married, but did you want to?
No. So I didn't actually. I wanted to be a housewife, in all honesty. But in hindsight, I realized it's because I was so worn out. Like I was so from the marriage, like from doing all the things by myself.
You're exhausted.
Yeah, like
having to keep up with it.
He had PTSD. He was a corpsman in the Navy, and he had severe PTSD. He was bipolar and he was narcissist, and so just trying to I'm an empath and I'm a fixer because I have some codependency issues that I've since worked on, and so I just wanted to make him happy. Like I feel like everybody deserves to be happy, and doing that with kids and working is wearing. So I realize now, looking back, that's why I wanted to be a housewife. Now I could never imagine myself in that role.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's completely different now, just with your level of productivity and everything that you have your hands in. I don't know how you, but again, if I say I don't know how you juggle it, then my next thought is we need to have this. We need to have her on the podcast so we can figure out how the hell is she juggling this, and 3 kids.
I mean, you just do it,
Oh, you can't just say you just do it. You just told everybody you have a support system here at the drop of a hat.
Right, exactly. So, you reach out to people, you utilize your system, you just do what you need to do.
I get it.
Thank you.
This is coming.
Exactly.
This is coming from a man who lives on road named
something.
with his last name.
Let me tell you something. I'm slightly privileged, okay? I know exactly what she's talking about.
Everybody in this cul-de-sac is related to him.
It feels good when he says he gets it, though. So don't rain on my parade.
No, he does. He does. He's a sweetheart.
I appreciate that.
So you got 3 kids.
I do.
And I talked to Jonathan a little bit, because they're in it from the beginning, and like you were, and I was like, Jonathan, what is something that we can ask in a way that's kind of like informative?
Yeah.
Because you put up posts almost every day. and it's almost like an encyclopedia, but from a personal account.
Okay.
Which is great, So if I mean, I would go as far as to say, if anybody ever had a question about dwarfism, and when Angela says that she's an open book, she's not lying. You just go to your page and you can read your facts about dwarfism. But when I was talking to Jonathan about you coming on, he was like, well, see if you can get her to ask Angela to talk about what's it like raising kids, because that's kind of like where they're at now. This is all new for them, and what to expect other than what the doctors have told them. And
sure.
So someone as yourself who's on both sides of that fence, can you speak to that?
Oh, absolutely. It's really interesting to me, the fact that 80% of little people are born to average height parents is just wild. And I have, with the trip to New York and the medicine, I was relieved to hear that at the end of it, they kind of they asked a bunch of different questions.
What was the medicine for?
So it cures achondroplasia. So achondroplasia.
What?
So achondroplasia is it's skeletal dysplasia, and what it is, it is basically that the cartilage doesn't in your long bones, so your arms and your legs, doesn't harden into bone as much as it should. So therefore, you end up with smaller arms.
Like at a certain point?
Just I think throughout. Well, I know throughout. I shouldn't say I think. It's just throughout the entire growth process, even in utero, because it's evident at 6 months in utero.
Okay.
So because that's when the growth in the long bones slows down in utero, and so throughout your entire growth process, the cartilage is not hardening as it should and forming bone. And so therefore that's what ends up with short arms and short legs. And so, when I was pregnant, we had tried to get pregnant and failed. We did a few fertility things and it didn't work. And so I ended up just like, okay, this isn't going to work. And then ended up getting pregnant. And so I saw my OBGYN and a specialist at the same time. And the specialist is fucking crazy. So she was hyper vigilant about everything. Like, she saw my tattoo and she was like, she needs a TB test. And she just freaked me out the entire time. And so I can only imagine what it's like for a pair of average height parents who have a child who has skeletal dysplasia and then of any sort, achondroplasia or whatever. And then, the doctor's telling them these things and they don't know enough to pull from experience to be able to say, it's going to be fine. Like, it's going to be fine. So, and then there's 80% of them running around. I feel for them fully. And so raising kids with achondroplasia is, it has its own set of challenges. My oldest, she's 11. She'll be 12 in December. And then my youngest is 6. And then, kids are just tiny humans with their own personalities, their own, beliefs, their own thoughts. And so you adding that into it really makes it interesting because my oldest and my youngest couldn't be more different. They're so different. My oldest has been aware of her height for as long as I know. Like, she's known that she's a little person. My youngest, I'm still trying to convince her that she is a little person. She is convinced that she's going to be as tall as her brother. Her brother is average height. He's in the middle, which actually is not even average height. He's tall because my ex-husband is 6'6", and so my son is tall. So it's really interesting to see them struggle with it internally, and then you have to add the external factors of kids and people and such. And so, I
think that was the next question that he wanted me to ask, was the intervention.
Yeah. So, with achondroplasia, with being a short person, just in general, there's plenty of accommodations you can make. But with achondroplasia, I've known average height parents who have altered their entire house to fit their child, and that's not my take on it. I get why they're doing it, and I have no judgment with it. But that's not my take on it. Is that I need to teach my babies to live in a world that's not going to do that for them.
Right.
Because it's not. And, they're not even following the most basic of ADA compliances right now. So
can I express I don't know. So I kind of feel like the people, who go through and remodel their house, the families that make they readapt everything for their children, or themselves. What was it? What was that show? The 10 of us or whatever, the family. They're making it their world. They're like, this is our world. It's like all you other 6-foot assholes, y'all have everything else out there.
Yeah.
But inside these 4 walls, our light switches are 3 feet off. This is so it's reversed.
Absolutely.
Walk in there and it's like, oh, it's way down here, or everything's down low, because that's how it should be for in an ideal situation.
Yeah. So I don't I've not seen any of those shows, but absolutely, like if I built a house, I would have some accommodations, but I wouldn't have it
You haven't watched the shows?
Mm-mm.
You haven't watched the shows to be like, oh, she's faking. That's not really.
Is there a reason behind that?
Because I know Phil's dying to say, like, is it scripted? Is it really scripted? Or are they like, are they just bullshitting?
I'm not going to say that.
So I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of TV.
Good.
I don't have cable. I have the base, like Netflix. I have all that stuff. So I'm not like, oh, I don't have any, but
you're not worried about what's on Lifetime.
Yeah. So, but I don't have a problem with them. So, but I can't tell you if of course it's scripted. It's a reality show.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a waste of time.
That's what I'm saying. The shit's scripted.
Calm
None
down.
of that shit's real. It's all fake.
Calm down, guys. I watch Schitt's Creek. That's about it.
Oh,
I mean, it's a waste of time. We're trying to be productive adults.
I'm 3 episodes in and I haven't laughed once.
Wait. It's amazing.
I was going to say I watched 2 episodes and I'm like...
You got to give it more
Okay,
time.
so I watched 3 episodes with my mother-in-law and she's cracking up laughing the whole time. I'm like, it must just be Catherine O'Hara. And I'm just... I thought it was going to be funny because of the sun. And I'm like, yeah, it's still stuff. I haven't caught a joke yet. I don't know. But anyways, so...
So my oldest, has always been aware. She's very confident, which is obviously amazing. She's very sure of herself. She don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about her. And she's an introvert like me. And so she is more than able to self-entertain, be by herself. Like we would go over to people's houses and she would be in the kids' room and there wouldn't be anybody in that room. Like she'd be by herself playing. And so I think those factors help her like kind of handle her dwarfism a little bit better. Whereas Malika is an extrovert. She is a diva. She is, image matters to her and she's only 6. And
very, very, very concerned with her hair.
Very concerned with her hair and her makeup and her dress, like the whole thing.
As she should be.
I mean, it's important at 6, especially when you're distance learning.
I'm 2 years from there.
Yeah.
I already see the beginnings.
It's so fun. We literally ask her like for approval on our outfits before we leave the house if we're going somewhere, because we don't want to get somewhere and have her read us for trash. So, like there's a video that I posted of me talking to her. It was a couple years ago where we went to Big Play and we did laser tag, and she is furious because they wouldn't let her do it.
Why?
Because she's too small.
Laser tag where?
It's a Big Play.
At Big Play.
No, I've seen toddlers doing that.
No.
What are you talking about?
Me and Phil went in there.
Yeah, we went in there. We were kicking kids everywhere. We were slamming them.
He killed everybody.
Dude, I was chest kicking kids.
Get some.
I think that's the shirt you wore too that day. I think it actually said that.
Well, I didn't want her in there because she's tiny, and so maybe I just lied and told her that they wouldn't let her in. I don't know. I don't remember.
How dare you?
But she literally looked at me and she was like, "You're little. You can go." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm little, but I'm not as little as you."
But I'm of legal age.
Yeah. So she just really has a harder time with it. But one of the things about being achondroplasia is that people, especially the kids, like they automatically love them. Like they're cute. They're, whatever. People just make these assumptions about them being sweet or whatever, which they may or may not be. So, that's a good thing. Like there's not like this automatic assumption of they're, devil spawn or something. And so people gravitate to them. And so that's a positive, but there's obviously sometimes bully situations, and we haven't had many. We had one where there were these the set of twins at the daycare that we went to. So the kids, were in daycare, and then we're in after school care once we started school at the same daycare, and so we have a consistency with this place. And so these twins were there, and they had been there a couple years, and they just aren't. They're troubled. They probably don't have a great home life, so on and so forth, and
making excuses.
Not excuses, qualifying it.
How old are we talking?
Like 8.
Okay.
So
violence.
It sounds like excuses.
Don't let the Daddy Mitchell come out.
We need some violence in this situation.
So,
we already talked about this. We can't really go into.
Yeah, we can't express our opinions on this.
Protective services.
So anyway, but Aiden, doesn't take any shit, and so
that's good.
I received, she stood her ground. She would just leave them, like, just leave me alone. Yep. And granted, they weren't, they were just assholes to everybody. So it wasn't like just Aiden. But apparently at one point, Aiden had enough. And I got a call from the school. And they told me that Aiden ripped one of the other girl's braids out of her head and snatched her bald in a spot. And I was like, Aiden? Because Dio has some he has some violent tendencies, my son. And so I was like, Aiden did that? And she was like, yeah. And she's like laughing while she told me that.
How old is he?
So he right now is 9. He's a couple years younger than Aiden. Which he has beat people up over his sisters. Just people will look at them the wrong way, and he's
that's right.
Oh yeah,
he's not having it.
That's exactly
this
what
this is our opinion.
and this is why we don't talk about it, because that's our stance.
Yeah,
we are totally all
pure violence.
Yeah, yeah. At one time I was at a party.
If there's not blood on the ground, Aiden, you're not doing it right.
She had hair in hand.
or hair in hand.
Yeah.
Kill shot every time.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, the mom was mad, and the people at the daycare were like, what do you want me to do? They're awful. Like, and Aiden.
What daycare was this, if you can say?
I'd rather not say.
Okay.
I don't want to.
All right.
Do that.
ABC learning.
Well, we'll just attribute that to bad management, maybe.
Yeah. So the Aiden was obviously not in trouble. I fucking high-fived her because that was fantastic, and it made me feel good because she's really nice. Like, she's a really nice kid, and so it was good to see, like, oh, she got it in her, And I don't know if Malika has it in her. We'll see, but DL definitely does. At one time we were at a party, and they were in this like little inflatable pool. This was before Malika was even born, and I turn around and turn back around, and DL is standing over this kid and just pummeling him, and I'm like, oh my god, what is happening? So I go over there, and he's like, she told him to stop splashing her, and he just kept splashing her, and I was like, okay, all right, I mean, sure, beat the shit out of a kid for splashing, whatever, it's your sister, that's fine. So
I think a lot of people, they oh well, everybody should be respectful, blah 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 blah. But it's a different story because you are a walking target, and they don't understand that. They don't understand when you are a walking target like that. The ignorant, you're like a magnet for the most stupidest people. But on the flip side of that, me and Phil are big fans of laser tag.
Yeah,
super big fans.
By the way, we're pretty good at it. And
the next time you guys or your kids want to go do laser tag, you let us know. We're all gonna go do laser tag.
I'm gonna take you up on it.
You let us know.
We will bring a bunch of uncoordinated kids with us, and we'll.
I'm not gonna bring any kids. It's gonna be me and you against her tribe. We're gonna rent out the whole freaking laser tag room, so nobody can say shit about who can go and who can't.
That's funny. Yeah, let's do it. I'm here for it.
I was going to ask you about the because you are so social. I mean you everywhere, constantly social media. But you were telling me the kids you don't allow them access to social media when I was asking getting into cyberbullying type stuff, which I know is a big concern for up and coming parents like Jonathan, Aaron, and yourself and anyone else. The protectiveness, it's like, is it? I mean, it's like how do you? I guess that's my question: is how do you? When they say, "Mom, can I get on Facebook? Mom, can I get on Instagram? Mom, can I watch YouTube?"
All the cool kids are on there.
Yeah, and you're like, "No, you can't."
Yeah.
But then you're like, "I got a vlog to do. I got a video conference day. Let me bring up Beeline. I got like 3 people I got to interview this week." It's like, "Mom, you're doing it. You're doing it every day, Mom. Like you got 2 engagements today. You had one this afternoon. You got one tonight. You're on YouTube right now, Mom."
Yeah. Yeah. So, first of all, because I said so.
And that's how it's done, people.
That doesn't make any sense. That's never made sense to me because I said so. Who are you?
That's the true definition
I'm in charge.
That's right. That's the true definition of a supermom.
What about me, though?
Because I said so. Now
what
shut
about
your
my
mouth.
social life?
It's funny. The kids very.
You don't have a social life.
This is it. All my friends are in this
She's
room.
like, I'm your social life.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a hard life over here.
Feeling ganged up on.
If only I could be so lucky.
So it's funny. So I worked at Habitat for Humanity.
Do you know my uncle?
Yes, I know your uncle.
Who's that?
People are watching this show and they're like, this is fucking Mississippi. This shit's incestuous. Everybody knows everybody.
It's true, though. It's true. It's true. So while I was going to school, I worked at Habitat for Humanity. And I left last year to pursue. I started Purpose by Ange in 2018 after I graduated from Tulane. And I did that while I was working at Habitat. And then I left Habitat in December and started Purpose by Ange this year full time. And it's really interesting how quickly the kids adapted to that. I wasn't sure how that would go with them, how long the transition phase would be. And granted, they were used to seeing me work my Purpose by Ange business while I was at Habitat. But now they know this is what I do. And so when I go to my room, when I do when I'm doing what I'm doing, that's what I'm working. So I think, honestly, I feel like maybe they associate, now they're 11, soon to be 12, 9 and 6. And so I feel like they associate what I do, social media wise on Facebook and that kind of stuff, which they know about, with business. So I think that they probably associate that more so with that than with me having a social media account and not letting them have one. I told them they couldn't have one till 16. And I feel very, very strongly about that on a person, for my kids, whatever people want to do for their kids is their business.
Right. You're just being a good mom. It's like, no, you can't have a cell phone until you understand the legalities of having a cell phone.
Right. We're lucky that we grew up in the time where we're in the technology enough to understand it and know it, but out of it enough to where nobody had Facebook when I was at Loyola, so it's like I'm grateful for that. And your mind can run in a million scenarios with like what could happen with your kids with social media, the self-esteem and the just like I'll post a video of Malika and she'll ask me how many likes it got, and I don't even know. I don't even pay attention to that, and I'm like, you're 6, how do you know that? Now they do have access to YouTube. I let them watch YouTube videos, but they do not have a channel. I told DL's the only one that wants a channel, which in my head I'm like, nobody's gonna watch it, but whatever.
How dare you again? Kid could make $1 million. These kids are making millions out here. You should give them a shot.
No, I don't. You know what? I don't want my kids to work at 9 and 10. Like I want them to be kids.
What are we talking about?
It becomes work.
Yes, you do want them to work at 9 and 10.
Brandy.
Hell, if I had a 9 and 10-year-old, gotta produce.
Earn your keep.
It's hard out here, man. I'm having trouble. I gotta pay for all this. Man, we gotta get to work. Back in the day, they'd be in the fields, man.
So luckily I haven't had that, but mom, you do it yet. I'm sure it's coming. Now Aiden, she won't give me that. She is straight and narrow. She is the reason the other two exist. She is easy peasy. Like, DL gives me a run for my money, and so does Malika. And so I can only imagine what it's going to be like when she gets old enough to really like want something like that. But their dad and I are very, very firm in the 16-year-old thing.
DL plays Fortnite though, right?
Yes.
He's pretty good, right?
No.
How do you know?
Mom? I don't know.
He's I hear he's pretty good from the chat. Now look, these players are making some. I
know.
Well, why don't you give him a shot?
He
doesn't have to even put his face on there. Just stream. Just stream on Twitch. Am I putting you on the spot?
So no, not at all. There's no such thing. So DL has very severe ADHD, and we can't give him medicine for it. We've run the gamut of the different medicines to give him, and they all make him angry and violent and
Is it a matter of like finding the right dosage?
No.
So you've tried different kinds and different dosages.
We've literally run the entire gamut, and it's just it's likely he's bipolar, like his father. It's genetic. He's currently on bipolar meds, and those help him.
Really?
Yeah.
So early. Mm-hmm. So early.
He was throwing desks. He was punching kids. He was climbing walls. He was banging his head against wall. Like, we were this close to him having to be put in an inpatient hospital, and that was not what I wanted to do.
Right.
So, I give him obviously like the lowest dose possible, and it helps him get through the day. He just has 0 patience. So I say all that to say that I try to limit his screen time, because I see a true, real life result of too much screen time to how his ADHD plays out. So making him a full-time Fortniter would make him impossible to deal with in real life.
It's difficult to get. I mean, I don't mean to say it's difficult to get diagnosed with ADHD. It's not difficult. It's because it seems a lot of parents just want an easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
Give my kid medicine, dope them up, call it a day.
Right.
But I want to say it's difficult to get a correct diagnosis for your child that your child is ADD or ADHD. Did you have to get like multiple diagnoses?
Yes and no. So I grew up in Biloxi, and so my kids see the pediatrician that I saw, which is very intentional. My pediatrician is Dr. McCrary. He was fresh out of medical school when he saw me, and so he's very familiar with. He was eager to take me on. My mom has told me this. Obviously, he was eager to take me on as a patient, and wanted to learn anything that he needed to learn to be able to be the best pediatrician for me. And then my sister, who also had achondroplasia. So as soon as I was pregnant, I knew that I wanted my kids to see him. And so he's been around forever. He's very, very, very well respected. So he was our first stop, and he has actually said that DL is the most ADH kid he's ever met. Like,
really?
He can't, you could tell him, I'll give you $100 to just stand still for 30 seconds. And he literally couldn't. Like, he just can't. So for him, it was easy. And then we saw a couple psychiatrists. He goes to therapy. So we've had, a good bit of experience and exposure to different people to confirm the diagnoses.
Like, I almost want to say, so, not that I'm talking without validity here, but just a surface level of understanding, from, the few things that I did. I guess I should probably click this. The few things that I did, understand from taking psychology or majoring in psychology was either the duration of stress. So for him, I would almost think that, here if I was him, here I am, I'm in this family unit that gets a lot of scrutiny, anywhere I go, and that's like constant stress, and that triggering any kind of like episodes or behavior, it's got to be like, for a young man that, because you're already like in pre-adolescence, and you're struggling with emotions and just the hormones and everything, coupled with the stress. That's to me, I'm just thinking out loud here. That's a whirlwind to have to deal with, and being protective of your sisters and your mom, and there's just a ton of territory to cover at such a young age.
Yeah, that's 100% valid, and I really appreciate you bringing that up. We had him diagnosed in kindergarten, and I hadn't really even stepped outside and considered the things that you just mentioned until, so he's in an inclusion program in elementary school, it's a SPED program where he gets to spend the majority of his day just in general ed, but he has support. He has like today he got mad because kids kept going to the bathroom. And so he has like these small triggers, and then the more he and I talked about it,
I feel like me and Phil can relate to that, because like when we go to the movies with our ladies and they keep getting up to go pee, I'm just like, why? What's the point of paying $20 for you to come pee every like 15 minutes, for this movie? Like, don't you just want to like sit at home and download it for free? So we don't need to sit here and pay $20 to use the bathroom 5 times in 2 hours. I
can't relate to that. I don't have a lady.
I was just saying I can relate to the young man a little bit.
So, he has the opportunity to go to and what's called the inclusion room to kind of just like decompress when people are aggravating him. And so the teacher that kind of led that program when he first started, she had mentioned similar to what you just did, the constant stress of being the man of the house now because I'm divorced, of feeling those instincts, which I feel like that's entirely too much to put on him, so I don't put that on him. Yeah,
no, but nobody's gonna give him a break at school. Nobody's gonna like step in and be like, yo, he's watching out for his sisters and his mom and the mom and dad. Nobody's gonna come in and say, oh, we shouldn't like give him shit today, or we shouldn't pick on him today.
Right.
That's not gonna happen.
Right.
He's gonna start throwing fists because he's over it.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't need this. I'm 24/7 with this.
Yeah.
I'm ready to put a desk through your face. I mean, that's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
I'm
We're gonna get shirts made for you. Purpose by Ange, death through your face.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad to know that I will tell DL that he has mad support.
Maybe it's a male thing.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it is. But you know, he so I think that that's 100% valid. That's logically a factor. But like I said, I hadn't even really thought of that until, you know, a few years ago. And I'm, you know, I really am very intentional in the way that I parent him, and I don't want to make him feel, I want him to understand that his feelings are valid and so on.
There's a lot that you just covered, and I just want to like recap it just for a split second, because you're talking about your son and keeping up with him and his condition. And then a little while ago you were talking about Habitat for Humanity, which made me want to, there's 3 things here, I'm going to forget one of them. Working for Habitat for Humanity before you went on to Purpose for Ange. And then I was going to say, before Habitat for Humanity, were you actively involved in your community activism, or was Habitat for Humanity kind of like maybe the ground floor for what kind of like promoted you to become a community activist? And then you said something, I forget. See, I forgot it already. There was a third thing that you said, and then I forgot it.
You'll remember.
Did we mention that we're professional?
We have so many degrees in broadcasting
than
journalism.
All of your friends.
I'm thinking about teaching a class in journalism.
You're gonna get an honorary degree, Phil.
You think Texas A&M would have me?
Oh, and you mentioned your sister. That was the third thing.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing I was going to ask you for. So I don't know what order to proceed here, but right off the bat, you had mentioned your sister, and you know, I was going to ask we're going back to the medical issues that you were talking about earlier. You and your sister were kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Very, yeah.
What I think it was what 2 years ago or whatever, you had posted the wedding pics of, I think it was your mom, and I think I did some color correcting.
Oh yeah.
For it, and
man.
It was before your sister.
Yeah. It was when they moved to California. Or no, it was after my grandpa had passed. That's what it was.
And I remember you tagging, and she was like, you know, so excited.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you want to like talk a little bit about like when you mentioned medical conditions, like the complications that can come.
Yeah. So
versus, you know.
Yeah. So I am uncommon in the achondroplasia world, where I have had little to no medical issues at all. All types of there's over 400, they say, types of dwarfism, and they all come with their own issues, but I think there's standards where because they're all skeletal dysplasia, so back issues, hip issues, joint issues, and with achondroplasia, we have very large heads, but the opening to in our skull for our spine can often be smaller than needed, and that can cause compression of the spinal cord, which can then limit functions, motor functions. And so it's not uncommon for there to have a need to have surgery there. And my sister had surgery when she was very young, I want to say 2 or so, to open up that opening a little bit more to release the pressure. And
in her skull.
In her skull, yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and then there's kyphosis issues, which is curvature, and she had several surgeries and was never able to walk. She ended up needing to have colostomy and urostomy bags at one point, because we think that one of the surgeries ended up going the wrong way. When you're dealing with the spine, it's so sensitive, and the literally the tiniest move can screw you up. And so she was in a wheelchair. She had an electric wheelchair in kindergarten, and she had just a slew of medical issues. Her arms were very like curled up. I don't know what the word is. And her back was very curved, and she had a lot of like headache issues and migraine issues. She just had just a slew of issues, and was a wheelchair user, but she was a hell of an advocate. You know, her profession was she helped parents navigate the school system. Parents of children with special needs navigate the school system. And so the school system, you know, public schools are required to provide accommodations for children with special needs according to whatever their needs are. And so that could be something as simple as ADD, and I use the word simple loosely, or, you know, being a wheelchair user,
They're
or
on a desk with somebody's face.
yeah, I mean, you know, and so she was there. She worked through the lower part of the Mississippi to help students, and it's incredible because, you know, unfortunately schools are very, very underfunded. We know that, Mississippi being the best at that.
Mississippi being what Mississippi is.
Yeah, Mississippian. And
we got all that good we get those good leaders in government.
So
you like our governor?
Fuck no.
How dare you? Call the police.
Do you feel he is doing anything for?
No,
okay.
for nothing. No, I don't feel. I feel like Phil Bryant did. You know, I'm not a huge Phil Bryant fan, but I feel like he did things that.
Old Trent Lott.
You know what, Trent Lott. And,
I'm waiting for them to change that. I'm waiting for them to change the name of that school, Pascagoula.
Oh, I don't think they will. Do you think they will?
I think so.
They're changing. So my kids go to Jeff Davis. I probably shouldn't say
They're changing that.
But they're changing that. They sent a survey.
I saw that about the different names to pick from.
I was thrilled.
You know the next thing that's going to go.
It's not going anywhere.
You don't think so?
No.
The plantation on the beach.
Beauvoir.
Man. Yeah, Beauvoir. The Civil War cemetery.
You know what aggravates me about Beauvoir? And Beauvoir's fine. Like that to me, that's how things should be. Like, keep it there. But I you know what aggravates me though is that statue at the courthouse in Gulfport. That statue, and I don't even know who it is, belongs at Beauvoir, but they refuse to take it. They want it to be in a public space. Yeah.
There's a lot of archaic mentality inherited down here.
You think? What she said?
That you have to wait to die out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not just here. It's that is everywhere.
True.
That's everywhere. And until you have new fresh blood on government levels that can speak to the masses, you know, at a somewhat appropriate level. Mm-hmm. I mean, can you imagine if me and Phil were speaking to the masses?
We are speaking to the masses right now.
Let me tell you something. First of all,
I'll tell you got to run for mayor.
I'm built for this. I'm built for this. There's a lot of questions in the chat. One of them.
I haven't finished what Mitchell said. Do you want to ask a question? Or?
No, you go ahead and finish.
I'm sorry. I just don't want to forget.
Yeah. We were talking about your sister and the spectrum.
Well, and you asked me about advocacy, and so it kind of leads into one into the other. So Cindy was a huge advocate. She had the opportunity to speak at the first women's march that was on the coast, and so while I do think that my experience at Habitat lit a fire under, because I got to see things and really learn things that I didn't necessarily know. I think that Cindy was probably definitely my entrance into the advocacy, social justice kind of world.
So shout out to Cindy and Angela's mom, because that's why you're able to be here tonight.
Yeah. And it's incredible. So my mom is 60, and I'm so grateful that she and my sister and I all like aligned in our thoughts.
I was gonna say, like, I almost feel like we should have I kind of almost feel like we should have like had her here right now, just to talk on you know, raising you and your sister at the same on this point. You know.
No, she hates Trump more than I do, which is saying something. So all right, I'm ready for questions from the from the chat.
But but you're getting into the Habitat for Humanity, getting into community activism. You recently were out getting voter registration.
Yeah, it's exciting. You know, I am in all honesty, while you know I do have a preference, I believe that everybody should vote. I think the voting system is archaic. I think the electoral college is archaic, and so I really think that everybody should exercise their right to vote. So I had the opportunity to work with Mississippi Rising Coalition, which is an amazing organization.
Yes. Yeah. Which, by the way, reply to my questions. How can I get a large shirt? Please, please let me know.
I will ask Leah Campbell and let you even know.
Because that was my first question. My first question was like, do you have shirts? And you know, it was an automatic reply. You need to go to our website or contact us at this number. I was like, I just want a shirt. Because they are one of the few organizations that everything they post, I'm like, holy shit. You know, totally in line with. Totally in line with. It's like, this is not complicated. This is not complicated. It's either right or wrong. There's, you know, there's no variation in gray on the moral compass here, and they are doing such a great job. So shout out to Mississippi Rising.
Yeah, they're incredible. So I got to go do that, and I'm working on trying to. So I don't have a lot of free time.
You say so. Really? You're only making what, like 10 videos a week? You're like, look, kids, I can't make macaroni for you. Mama's gotta go interview somebody right now. I'll get back to you in a couple of days.
So I wanted to get, you know, I'd love to get more involved, but
you are involved. You're doing a hell of all of your videos this month. I mean,
I know, but
I mean, twice a week.
Yeah. Well, and then I'm recording some on the weekend.
I can't keep up with you.
Some people don't want to go live, so I'm recording some on the weekend to play later. So, but I say all that.
Do you sleep?
It's kind of.
Natasha's like, no, she doesn't. She's texting me at 3:00 in the morning.
I feel like I'm falling all the time and I wake up at 2 a.m.
That probably means something. Have you looked that up?
I'm scared too. It'll probably reveal something deep about my past that I don't want.
You're not ready?
I'm not ready for it.
You are all over the place with you. So, look, we got so much to cover here.
I got a question.
You got questions. There are things that I wanted to ask before I forget to ask. Things like, you know, we're talking about cyberbullying. You know, I wanted to get into bad examples, good examples. That was one of the things. You said you build websites. You said you're into graphic design. You said you're into photography. You make quilts. I mean, she fucking does it all. You know, I do a little bit of some of that, except the quilts. You know, compare some notes here. Let's answer a question.
You guys are ready for a question?
Yes.
She's ready for a breather.
No, Catherine was talking about. You said you were talking about the New York City thing, and you were talking about a cure for
achondroplasia.
There you go. I can't say it. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So I can explain what I know. So during the my trip, you know, during the panel, they don't really talk about. They talk very vaguely about what it is they're talking. They talk in like hypotheticals. So, but now there are trials going on, and they're in the third phases of the trials, and it's apparently an injection, and I guess it works to help harden the cartilage to grow bone, from what I understand. So, you know, the children that have been doing it, because I'm in a group about it, and the children that have been doing it have so far had you know, excellent response. They've had some growth from it, you know, and there's also so that's a really new thing, and it's really controversial. And the
so it's a potential cure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it feels weird to say cure though, because it's a genetic condition. So how do you cure that?
You know, that's what I was going to ask you.
So I always say cure. Like how are you going
to change that?
Yeah.
Reverse engineer it.
Yeah. So, you know, and I guess I don't really know what the end of it is. Like, I don't know if these children who are doing it will end up being average height or, are just simply a little bit taller. And I get it. Again, 80% of children being born to average height parents, they're scared. They want what's best for their children. And so they think that giving them this advantage is what's best for them. So that's really all I know. It's an injection. It starts when they're very young. And I think that it just hardens the cartilage to help them have longer bones. But there's also, you can also have limb lengthening, and that's brutal.
That's what I mean, not that he was a patient for this, but the singer for Weezer, he had lengthening, limb lengthening in his legs, because one of his legs was shorter than the other.
Yeah.
And they had to break it.
Yeah,
and then he had the what do you call it?
The halo thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
The halo on his leg.
Yeah.
And when you watch Weezer play David Letterman, you can see that he's wearing these khakis. Excuse me.
Get it together.
Professional.
And he cut the side of the pants legs down so that it would fit over his his halo cast with the screws going through his legs.
Yeah.
Because the bone had to grow and reattach.
Yeah. Yeah. So they cut wedges in the bone, and there's screws in there.
Yeah.
And they turn the screw to separate the bone, and then the bone heals, and then they just continue. Yeah. So
it keeps going.
So that's an option as well. It's
a very painful option.
It's a very painful option, and
a long process.
And it can be. And unfortunately, the process can be for both limb lengthening and also bowing. Severe bowing is a common trait for achondroplasia.
And that's what Little Mouse recently.
Aiden.
That's what Aiden recently.
Yeah. So, but if you don't catch, so Aiden had 8-plate surgery, and so that's where they put these metal plates on your on the outside of your tibia and your fibia, and what it does is it stops the growth on the outside. So then as they grow on the inside, it naturally fixes itself. The bowing does. And so that's a better option if you have it, but sometimes you don't. And so then they have to do something very similar to the limb lengthening to fix the bowing. But doing that doesn't automatically cause lengthening. It just, it's not as intense because it's not as long. It's not as brutal. So those are the two kind of typical options for fixing achondroplasia. And in all fairness, so having short arms can make things difficult hygiene wise and kind of like a day-to-day.
But not driving.
It can for some, but not necessarily. Some people have shorter arms. Some people have more complications.
You posted a picture of your extensions from your, gas and brake, and I was like, why do you have to is that like an addition? Did that come? It doesn't come with the car. Does Mississippi State provide those?
No.
Because they should, Reeves. They should.
Look, do you want me to talk to Tater? He's a friend of mine.
You need to. Can I tell you my Tater story?
I got some things for you to tell Tater. Go ahead, tell a story.
Hey, Tater's trying. He's doing an okay job. Okay, he's got a lot on his plate.
Have you seen the tater lanterns?
Tater tot.
So people are instead of pumpkins, people are making tater lanterns.
Tater, you need to help out the LPA, and you need to start providing extensions, at least in the cars. Okay, it's two pedals, man.
All that
it's
sounds
not that fucking hard.
All that sounds offensive.
Well, we have what is it? We have a Nissan plant, a Honda plant, or up there in
Nissan.
We have a Hyundai.
Hyundai is how you say it, right?
Hines County, something like that up there by Jackson. We got one.
Hyundai.
Seriously, what's it going to cost them for them to manufacture? That. We got it's a low concentration population here, Tater Tot. That's all we need. We need like 20 of them.
I wish his name was like Bob or something. You know what I mean?
Come on.
We'd figure something out. Don't worry.
Angela, tell me about. Let's compare some notes here. Websites. Building websites. Okay. Graphic design. Did you build the logo for your website? You're into photography. You said you're a professional photographer. But the photographs that we used for our podcast tonight were taken by other photographers that you, I guess, met your criteria. So tell us about your photography style. Tell us about your graphic design experience, how you came up with the logo for Purpose by Ange.
Okay, so I did not design the logo. I did design a logo for my business, my first logo, but then once I kind of committed and realized that, okay, this shit's real, then I hired somebody who did an amazing job. And so the logo started with my tattoo. So
we can see it.
I don't know. Okay. So, and these are my kids. So my 3 little birds.
Aww.
And so that's how it started. And then now it's just one bird.
You have the birds on your arm, but do they have like worms on their arms? Or they're not, you haven't taken them to the tat shop yet?
I haven't made that commitment.
Is that the plan? Is the plan for them to have the worms on their arms? No. Okay. It's a different kind of interview here, guys.
I mean, it is Mississippi. I'm sure I could find somewhere to go to get them tatted.
What's Anchor down in
Twisted Anchor?
Twisted Anchor down in that's where my cousin goes.
Yeah.
He swears by that place.
Yeah, I have a couple tattoos from there. So,
shout out to Twisted Anchor.
Yeah, it gives us sponsorship.
They put up a fight with Ocean Springs City Council.
Mm-hmm.
Said, look, you can't deny us.
Stupid. Yeah,
we're a business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're people too.
Well,
which they had a point. They had a point.
And what was it? Old Mayor Shea.
Shay.
Yeah, he was getting like death threats and stuff, trying to take the
shout out to Shay.
The flag down.
Come on,
like,
show,
he's like
Tater Jr.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by inbreds, and I'm just trying to do a job here. People throwing rocks through my window. I mean, government, anything government is difficult.
Oh,
you can't make anybody happy.
That's very true.
And I said anybody, not everybody.
Anybody
doesn't, even if they're on your own side, they're still gonna fight with you.
Yeah.
Graphic design. Yeah.
So I guess it started when I was a photographer. So I took on the hobby of photography. I like teaching myself things, so I taught myself photography, and my thing was environmental photography. So I liked environmental portraiture photography. So I like going to people's houses and taking family photos of them in their element. Which is funny because I don't have any photos of my kids like that.
That is funny.
What do you mean in their house?
Because if you're saying you're a photographer, I would imagine you're constantly taking photos, or at least family photos of your.
So the iPhone changed everything. The iPhone.
You're just taking cell phone.
Yeah, I take a shit ton of I literally have 7,000 photos on my phone right now. So I take a ton of cell phone photos, but I don't break out my big camera very often. I keep saying I need to, but it just changed everything. But I really enjoyed taking photos of people I knew, and I really didn't branch out too much beyond people that I actually knew.
I relate to that. When we had, right before we had our first child, we bought a Canon T6 or something, and we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna use this to do all of our family photos, professional shots and things, and we just ended up using our phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I bought the big camera. And then granted, that was in 2008, so that was before the iPhone was what it is. So I did use it a lot then.
Which is a completely different beast now.
Yeah, it's just completely different.
12 years later, we're basically, aside from the DSLR lens.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love it still. I keep saying I'm going to do it. Last weekend, I was going to take them to the pumpkin patch.
What do you think of the new iPhone 11 as a photographer?
Oh my God,
with the three, you have the 3 lenses so that you can get short depth of focus, long depth of focus. He's got one. I don't have one, but he's got one.
Yeah, I do too. The night option.
You got one?
Yeah.
So you're already there.
It's a business expense.
Man,
2 more days at 12.
I am behind the times. I got to catch up.
Yeah.
You got to get that money. You got to be successful, Mitchell.
The night option or whatever, the way that it takes photos in the dark is incredible. It adjusts the exposure in an insane way. without a bunch of noise, without a bunch of grit. It's hard to, and my camera now is antique. Like, it's a 7D, and they've already come out with a 7D too.
Right.
I have some pretty great lenses, but it's not. It's just easy. It's so heavy. Oh my God, that can. And then it's like, if something happens to it, that's $3,000. Now, granted, I'm not using it. But if somebody bumps it or knocks it over, I'm like, ah.
Exactly. No, that was a very early rationale that we encountered here with the podcast, because we had all these Canon DSLRs and we had them all hooked up, ready to go, and we were having trouble getting them to all shoot a clean HDMI feed into a video switcher, and plus they're kind of limited on battery power. And just to shoot a video in his studio or a podcast, and I'm like, this is asinine. This is insane, because not only am I stressed out worrying about the battery power dying down, I'm worried about like getting the screen data info off of the feed before it gets to the computer. And so we switched to these Logitech 920 cameras, which are fantastic, clarity, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, but you don't have the DSLR wide, what is it called? Anamorphic lens perception, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And a fraction of the size. Like, it's so much smaller.
Yeah, our whole goal here is to hit the easy button every time we come in. You know what I mean? Because it's everything we do here. There's so many cables and wires and drivers and programs you got to set up. It ends up taking hours.
Right.
And one of the things Angela told me was that she's very techie.
I enjoy tech stuff.
She enjoys tech stuff. I was asking her about Facebook Live. I was like, what do you prefer, Facebook Live, or do you prefer Zoom? Or she's like, no, I use BeLive.
What is that?
So BeLive is an app that allows you to do the dual screen where you're interviewing somebody. And I don't know, I just like it.
We should probably know about that.
Like, whose name is on this podcast?
So with the photography came the website design, because at one point I wanted to branch out a little bit more.
Right.
So I had a WordPress site, and then just kind of with that, and then with that came the graphic design, and I just taught myself, Photoshop and Lightroom and all that kind of stuff, and and then I ended up using that in at Habitat. That kind of became my thing because I had the skill set. So it allowed me to just play with it and explore it more. Like, we did an annual report and had the opportunity to be the main designer with that, which was really exciting. I like creative stuff. I like techie stuff. So that's just kind of how that all kind of came about. My site, my website currently is a Squarespace site, which is so easy. It's so easy. Yeah. I love it. WordPress kept glitching out on me. Like, the templates would, and then I'd have to just rebuild it, and it just got really frustrating. I like the flexibility with it, because like right now with my site, I want to have certain things that I can't do because it's so templated. But and if it were WordPress, I could do it, but it's also not worth the hassle of it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, we're going through that right now. I was
thinking about revisiting.
Go ahead, Mitchell.
I was thinking about revisiting examples, like of the kind of bullshit you deal with, you encounter. You said you had a really good one, and I didn't want to forget to ask, because you said, I got the perfect story to tell.
Oh my God, I don't remember it.
Oh, because you said it came out, it had a good ending, and
it wasn't Aiden. It wasn't the Aiden.
Well,
story?
it was. I said when I was talking to you, I was going to balance it out with if you could provide all good examples as well, so that we had a fair.
So good examples are, like I mentioned earlier, like, in all fairness, people tend to gravitate to me. They tend to.
I think I was asking about like Mexican restaurants. So I was like, which Mexican restaurants are LP friendly? Because I love tacos and I want to know where to eat tacos.
So random. So random. So my favorite Mexican restaurant is Pepe's. I love that place.
You like Pepe's?
I do. But the problem with Pepe, what's wrong?
He knows the owner.
Oh, I love Pepe's.
No, they're great. No, I love Pepe's.
So good.
Absolutely.
We ran into her back in Mobile.
Oh, I feel like there's a story here. Is she cute?
No, she came to see one of her one of her waiter guys plays in a very popular.
No, she was there to see you play drums,
band, and I happened to be there, and she saw and whatever.
That's right. Because we walked upstairs, and she was like, "I didn't know you played drums."
Yeah, that's what.
And you're like, "This is what I do."
Yeah.
Like, what are you here for? Mardi Gras.
Very successful. No, but Pepe's is great. I go there all the time.
Yeah, Pepe's is great.
I love it.
The problem with Pepe's and many other restaurants, just in general, is that there's this new thing where the booths are elevated, like they're on a platform, and usually if there's either no lip, so it's just like a board, and then the booth starts, or the lip is so small that you can't like actually get any traction. And so if I wanted a booth, I would find myself like climbing into the booth, which is annoying.
What places do you love? What places where you walk into it and you feel like these people get me? They know I'm here. They are expecting me. They're rolling out the red carpet. What's your favorite places?
Think you have me confused with someone else. So, I guess, those things like the booth thing that I just mentioned don't really even, while they're annoying, they don't factor into whether or not I enjoy going to that place or whether or not I'm going to go to that place. They don't.
They would for me.
Well, you're not me.
If I'm going out to eat with Jonathan and Aaron, that's going to factor in completely. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to walk right out. So, and I believe that because, I'm interviewing my best friend Leanne next week, and I think it's next week, and I'm thrilled because her take on my dwarfism is completely different than my take on my dwarfism. And, she's ready to cut a bitch whenever we go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't even notice. Like, somebody looks at me and says something to like their friend. Are you talking about being hyper defensive?
Yes, that's a good phrase.
Sure.
And I obviously
called being normal.
Appreciate
if
that.
If you're a
loving
human being.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, so like you're asking me, where do I love to go? I don't.
Yeah, that's that's a very triggered question because I'm asking that to promote businesses that are thoughtful, mm-hmm. businesses that take into consideration, businesses that have mm-hmm. handicap ramps, things that other businesses may not take into consideration, and on all spectrums of dealing with the public and
mm-hmm.
who your
mm-hmm.
clients are.
And all
customers are.
Honesty, I can't think of a place that is so like accessible that it impressed me. Mm-hmm. There's not one. I mean, that's not to say every place is awful, but there's not one where everything was really
right. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't trying to say anybody's awful. I was just trying to say
no. I know.
Like
I know
ones that were maybe like a little bit extra thoughtful.
I haven't noticed any, to be frank.
Mississippi's lacking, Tate.
Yeah.
Come on down here and help us out.
You guys keep harping on. Anyway, go ahead.
So the ADA is the American with Disabilities Act, and it was formed under much duress. And I don't know if you guys there's a show on Hulu with I think it's called Mrs. America, and it talks a lot about that, and it's a really good show. And so the ADA has laws that were implemented to allow people with disabilities to be able to have access to things that everybody else does physically. So ramps, automatic doors, sinks at a certain height, and so on and so forth. But in Mississippi, it's not incredibly enforced. And so there are...
Or too enforced.
I'm going to disagree because I watched a documentary a while back about in the 90s, there was a group of disabled wheelchair people, and they went to all these different, it's not funny, they went to all these different restaurants and places of business, and if they didn't have exactly what they needed, they would sue them. And there was all these lawsuits piling up, and they won every time. And then they passed the whatever law is intact now.
I think that comes down to the attorney general, doesn't it? For the state.
Don't ask me about this
each
stuff.
state has a attorney general, and the attorney general can say this is what qualifies as handicap accessible.
And the thing is, it takes suing to be able to fix things,
right?
And there's new businesses that pop up all the time, and so it's an exhaustive system for that to be the way that this works instead of just doing the right thing. And that's not to say that everybody's not doing the right thing. That's obviously not what I'm saying. But and also I do believe that the ADA requirements need to be adjusted, frankly, because even if they're following them doesn't mean that they suit all people with disabilities. Dwarfism is considered a disability.
Do you hope to achieve this through the Mississippi chapter of advocacy?
I do hope to have some really incredible advocacy in the future, where we take it to the state capitol and we really make some changes for the future of our babies. Yes.
Because right now, I don't feel like the state capitol is representing the state of Mississippi.
Absolutely correct. Yes. Yeah, because we are not all old white men.
This exactly, and we've had this talk. Me and Phil, we've had this talk, and. Before the election, we can talk if it's a non-political podcast, which this is. We can talk about this, but the week of, we're not going to talk about.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about any of that because we're here to talk about you and Purpose for Ange. www.purposeforange.com. PurposebyAnge.com. You came about this, you said, when you were working for Habitat for Humanity, and now you are a motivational speaker for hire, and you're going all around the country talking about your 3 kids and raising them and how you keep them sane and how you find time to do all these video blogs. And
so I talk a lot about which I didn't get to go all over the country this year, unfortunately. I had several things set up. But so talk a lot about health and wellness, talk about balancing life, which, doesn't truly exist, but finding ways to figure out what works for you. I talk about,
yoga.
You know what? So
meditation. I'm sorry. Meditation and
journaling are a huge thing of mine. Yoga is amazing, but I am not a big yoga person.
Shout out to the lady who rolled her eyes. Phil, how do you feel about meditation? Do you meditate? Do you meditate in the shower?
Right,
you meditate in the bath? Do you meditate on the toilet?
All right, I'm glad you asked me because you're laughing like it's a joke, but it's not a joke.
This is not a joke. We are
every morning before I go to work. I'll wait until Mitchell stops laughing. I go out on my back porch and I'll sit for like 5-10 minutes and I'll take deep breaths. I'll close my eyes. I don't know if that's meditation. I don't know what I'm doing.
Absolutely meditation.
But I like to calm and clear my brain and focus on what the hell I'm about to do for that day. Because if I don't, my day is an absolute disaster.
Frenetic, yeah.
I've learned that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the 48 self-help books I've read. Audio books I don't read because that's dumb, right? I do audiobooks. But I started to do that.
Yeah.
And whenever I get freaked out, and that happens a lot, I get stressed out. Stop. Can you stop laughing?
I'm not laughing at you.
You're laughing.
I was laughing at the Latimer school education system, and
it's not.
I was thinking to myself, does Latimer stop making you read at like 6th grade or 7th grade?
No, that is absolutely meditation. That's awesome, Phil.
Thank you.
So I had a thing today, and I was trying to explain to them, I want to break the stigma of meditation. So many people think that meditation is clearing your mind. Well, that's not possible. Like, we are entirely too busy and too crazy right now especially, but in general, like, you can't clear your mind. So just really being intentional about breathing, taking a moment, putting your feet in the grass. I'm a big believer in grounding too. Just connecting with the earth. That can literally change your entire day. It really 5-10 minutes. That's all you need. I'm telling you.
Angela, you are a personal trainer and a life coach. We are sitting here with you drinking whiskey. What kind of coaching and wellness would you advise for me, Phil?
Well, Phil clearly works out, so he's got that going on for him.
Clearly.
I appreciate
Clearly.
that. Should I take my shirt? Yeah. I will.
Eat your veggies and make sure that you find some self-time for yourself.
On a very serious note, though, I've seen your before and after posts with your clients, and it is a world of difference. And I'm just like, holy cow, you are getting results. And as a personal trainer, the nutrition goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. But the wellness, the life coaching, I was kind of a little bit more curious about if you could talk about, like, is it kind of stepping into, one of the things I had, said to Phil, I was like, look, Angela is a spark of positivity. So she's like the human light for everyone else to follow an example by, right? Because everything you do is saying, look, elevate yourself. If this is where you're at, you can be so much better. There's so much more you can be, and you're doing it, and you're doing that. You're setting that example for you, for your kids, for everyone around you.
Mm-hmm. So personal training is something that I have, like, I'm a certified personal trainer, but it's not something that I don't like necessarily personal train people for the most part. It's often part of my wellness package, like to help them with their nutrition and so on. And then to help them with exercise, because it's important. I have a kids program that I started. And so I do personal train the kids. We have a personal training session every Saturday, which is so fun. But the life coaching is really interesting. So I was at Tulane pursuing a psychology degree, and because I'm a natural therapist, like, people come to me, they
now, you said you pursued. Did you finish it?
So hold on. So
I'm ready to compare notes here.
So they people come to me, confide in me, tell me things that they've, quote unquote, never told anyone else. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I wanted to do. Well, then Tulane began the health and wellness program. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do, because I've always had a passion for wellness. My dad was a type 1 diabetic. So I really understood the value of eating well. And
but when you say health, you don't mean like mental health. You mean like physical health.
So the health and wellness program was focused on physical health. Yes. Health. And so I switched to that program and then kept the minor in psychology. And so, so the life coaching, when I decided to pursue the career of being a health coach, someone would call me a life coach, and I would kind of cringe because I thought it was so hokey and just like kind of snobby. And so, but then here lately, I've had clients come to me pursuing life coaching, and it's been extremely fun. It's been really awesome to see people. So the life coaching I do is really just helping people kind of organize their life. It's all virtual. Helping people, like, they have certain goals that they want to reach, and just helping them map that out, guiding them, supporting them, encouraging them to reach those goals. I had one of my clients, her house we dug deep and we figured out that her house was really unorganized, and it was a barrier for her to be able to kind of do other things. It was just such a pain point for her, but she didn't have time to clean it. And so we mapped.
That sounds like Phil's house.
We mapped.
How dare you?
I like how he doesn't deny it though.
Because he needs it.
So we mapped out a plan and we worked the plan. So now I feel I feel like life coaching kind of, my wellness is whole wellness, mind, body, and soul, so the meditation, the journaling, eating well, nutrition, exercise, and then just figuring out what else in your life is a pain point and working on that.
In addition to you being a life coach and a personal trainer and a super mom, you were also a published writer.
I am. Shout out to Miss Fisher in 9th grade who made us write essays every day.
What up, Miss Fisher?
Miss Fisher. What school was that?
Was it must have been Fernwood. Yeah, Fernwood.
Fernwood.
Which is no longer there. It's
Just tore down.
Plot of land. Yeah.
You're writing articles for South Mississippi Living.
Yeah.
You're writing articles for LPA.
Yeah, I've had a few people ask me to be guests on their blogs, and
You got a book in the works.
I have a chapter in a book that is coming out in January, and then
What's the book called?
It is called Finally Free, and the theme is, so it's multiple authors, multiple female and a few male authors, and it's just about overcoming obstacles and breaking free. And so I believe that my chapter, which I haven't started yet because I'm a procrastinator.
I think you said adversity shaping advocacy and activism.
Oh, I said it so well. That's awesome.
That was before the whiskey.
I'm not drinking whiskey.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I wrote notes.
Here we go.
Professional.
This is the Wild West here.
Yeah, we don't care about much.
Yeah, so I really think that, the things that I have overcome have really helped me empathize more with others, the marginalized communities, and have really empowered my advocacy. So I think that's what I'm going to write about.
Or I thought that's what you are writing about.
I'm pretty sure. I haven't started yet.
You're so I've been checking out your posts, your video posts. You are a machine. You are a machine. So you're doing twice a week, and you're doing you're writing out articles basically on your own Facebook page.
True.
And starting off with, this is the month of October, I'm an open book, ask me whatever. But by the way, here's like 300 facts, if you want to process that, it kind of I don't want to get into the whole, well, I'm sure you encountered some real shitheads in your time. I've encountered shitheads in my time, but it's I don't want to get into that because it's not the same. I feel that though the way that you handle it is way more elegant than maybe the way that we've handled shitheads in our time.
I don't know if you've noticed, but we handle things with straight violence.
Yeah.
Phil just
I picked up on the theme.
He hits them in the face, but there's a lot of different ways to deal with elementary school bullying,
Mm-hmm.
which that's nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
I encountered a ton of that, and Central Mississippi. But like I was saying earlier, like with the you're a walking target. It's like, when I was in school, when I was in middle school, there's a girl with blue hair, right? Every guy in 6th and 7th grade was, talking shit about her just because she had blue hair. And I think she had moved from like California or something, where that was the norm in the 90s, right? Because we're in the grunge era. And so she's like, what is the big deal? It's like everyone at my school that I just left had black, green, red, blue, whatever, you know, and she moves into middle Mississippi, and all of a sudden it's like all these Baptists are like, you must be talking about that devil. Oh! If you can speak a little bit to maybe the cross section of, you know, what I'm getting at with the conservation of Mississippi life, religion with, you know, the walking target bit.
I have to compliment the impression before I even get started. That was
it's
incredible.
The whiskey. Yeah. I am not theatrical at all.
My mom's a Baptist, by the way.
And we love her.
How dare you? She's a saint.
She is. There's no dispute on that.
I mean,
she took care of French Fry.
That's right.
What's French Fry?
Is a horse, a midget horse.
Oh
no, it's a pony.
He had a midget horse living right behind this studio.
I had 2 ponies, and I had a full size paint. Was it paint? Is that what they call it?
Yes.
Paint horse.
Yes.
And it was a good time. And I got on him one time, and he threw me into the dirt. But go ahead with your answer.
So first, I'm going to address the phrase midget. It in referring to a person, it is no go.
Right.
You know, there's obviously times where it's like a literal phrase.
Should French Fry be offended?
I think miniature horse is a better phrase for French fry, if you ask me. But pony. Yeah. Pony is good. But yeah, midget. The word midget is not good.
It's slang. It's slang that was intended to be negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it started with Barnum and Bailey.
The connotation that comes.
Did
with
it really?
It. Yeah. Yeah, it started with sideshow freaks. So,
really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why it's got such a heavy negative connotation.
There's a lot of negative things traced back to them just with the whole circus thing. Mm-hmm. But the connotations, you know, it's if we, I don't know if we can talk about it for a second or not, but you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, honky, you know, right? See, you laugh. And it's like, it's supposed to like, you know, be offensive, but it's just like, it sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like, you know.
It doesn't carry power.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't carry. And unless you are on the opposite side or on the receiving end of that, you know, growing up, you don't experience that hatred, that ignorance.
Yeah.
And that causes you to react to it.
Sure. And 9 times out of 10, it's just pure ignorance. You know, it's using a phrase that you think is literally describing somebody, and you're not meaning it in an insulting way. And when that's the case, it's obvious usually, and typically people don't take offense to it because, you know, you're kind of given a pass until you know better, and when you know better, you do better. But then there are times where it's intended offensively. There's times where it's, you know, oompa loompa or, you know, just things like that where it's mean and ugly. There are times people take pictures of us, which
that's what I wanted. You had Phil. Okay. So you had mentioned this when I was like, kind of like asking, like doing the profiling questions, and you were like, you used that as an example, and I could not believe this. And I was wondering if you could like tell that story. Cause I was like, I could not, you know, when you said that, I was like, I would never have thought that. But then once you told me that, I was like, oh, I can totally see that happening in Mississippi. I'm like, yeah, that's.
Yeah. And it happens everywhere. It's not just Mississippi. Like it's a total LP thing. And I can't even wrap my head around it. But, you know, for instance, not too long ago, we were in a grocery store and this guy, and you see it happening. If, you know, you learn to understand, like when somebody's standing there like this, like they're taking a picture of you. But this fool didn't have his sound off, and so you heard the camera go off. And I looked at him. This was in Walmart, and I looked at him and I said, "No, the fuck, you did not just take my picture."
Yeah.
And he was like shocked because he was caught. And I walked over to him and I was like, "Why did you do that?" He's like, I'm deleting it, and he deleted it. But it's like, you clearly know you're doing something that's not okay. And it's happened too many times. People ask me to take a picture with them. Will you take a picture with me? Will you take a picture with me? No. The answer is always no.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I could not, I could not understand, that like you go into a public place and people are just like, the level of sensitivity is, hey, I can just take a picture with whoever I want. Granted, what is it? What is it? The site, Walmart, the Walmart
People
site.
Walmart, yeah.
And you see every walk of life. But but they're kind of doing it a little bit,
Yeah.
and behind the scenes where you don't know about it. But like what you were telling me, it's just like point blank, like, check me out.
Yeah.
This, I'm just like, this is why your son is so violent. This is why people get the shit knocked out of them in Walmart or in the grocery store or anywhere, because I feel,
especially in Mississippi, and I'll drag on Mississippi for that, because you go to California, you go to up north or anything like that, and it's I don't know what it is, but they're much more educated about things like this. But Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, you step it up.
That's legit. So I've been to California, been to San Francisco, been to San Diego, been to Portland, New York, and
absolutely,
it's a completely different story.
Yep.
I don't have the staring, the look, from people like tapping their friends. I don't have the,
because they're liberal territories.
Yeah.
We are not. We are not here.
Right.
And going back to, why do you live here? Why don't you live in a more liberal territory? It's your support system's here. It's not you that needs to change. It's the territory that needs to change.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to fucking man up and fucking realize, hey, be a little bit more, open-minded here. But once again, we're going back to the archaic mentality that's inherited here from generation to generation to generation, and it's not going to die off. For like another 50 years before the boomers die out. And then we can actually have progressive thinking in our government. Yeah, and
they're so dead set in not chinging. It's wild how they. I mean,
fucking what's that? Fucking Cindy Smith, with the fucking hanging.
Oh, boy,
fuck her.
Here we go.
Put me on the fucking front row. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Speaking of, we need to get SB in Senate. SB, vote SB. I'm gonna do some canvassing for SB, because oh my God, we've got to get her out of there.
All right. First of all, y'all need to calm down.
We feel very strongly about government.
Do we have another question,
Let's
Phil?
take it back a notch.
Do we have a question from the feed?
Everybody's talking about what you're drinking. There's been some friends
I would like to add 2 cents in right there and say, I made that drink at the beginning, and I'm very proud of it. You see the little line I put on the... I'm not
sorry.
a bartender.
Hold it up one more time, please.
I'm not a bartender.
Look at
I
those
put that
lines.
lime on that edge.
And I have the pleasure of having the Lust cup.
That's right.
Which is pretty accurate.
Lusty.
Somebody was talking about there's a struggle with the airbag laws and getting that going. Let's see here.
So airbags are interesting. So with being a little person and driving, we use extensions. Some little people use hand controls. People who are in a wheelchair, who are paralyzed from the waist down, use hand controls. I use extensions, and because our arms are so short, we sit very close to the steering wheel, and if the airbag were to deploy, it could be damaging. It could cause lung collapse or broken nose and all that kind of stuff. And so, but to be able to disable your airbag, you have to have permission from the state, and of course Mississippi is going to Mississippi, and it takes forever to get that. I just pull the fuse because that's the easiest way.
Mississippi's gonna Mississippi.
That was one of the I think that was one of the earlier questions I was going to ask was like, is there any Mississippi incentives that come into the picture, that say, hey, look, Mississippi will pay for a carpenter to come into your house and lower the light switches or replace the toilets, anything that would help you live a better life?
So there are Disability Works, Mississippi. I don't remember. There's like 2 or 3 organizations that can help you with things like that. You have to own your home to be able to make those accommodations. When my mom, in the house I grew up in, they came in,
which was by the railroad tracks off of Dubois,
off of right behind the Treasure Bay. That was my grandpa's house.
I thought, okay, because I remember Dale.
Yes,
we had to go by your house one time in high school.
Yeah, so that was my grandpa's house. So this is a whole different tangent. So growing up, my parents were alcoholics and my dad was abusive, and it was kind of like on again, off again. And so when it was off again, we would stay with my grandpa, and he lived there.
Does that play into the tonic water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have come to realize that drinking is probably not best for me. Even though my anxiety enjoys it.
I saw you posted about the elephant.
Yeah,
the anxiety
Ellie.
elephant.
Ellie, yeah. So, I struggle with some. Like Phil said, I've read a million, and audiobooked a million self-help books, and processed quite a bit of things, and
that was not my drink.
That is ice.
That was
ice. And I've just come to realize after my sister died, she died last year. I had a really rough time, and then
your mom moved back.
Yeah, I moved my mom back. They moved to California. So they moved to California last February because this is a state of ours. My sister lost her disability benefits because she was not disabled.
What do you mean she was not disabled? How could she not be disabled? She was in a wheelchair.
Right. So, and so with that, my mom had a hard time finding a job, and then found a job in San Diego, moved to San Diego with my sister, and then she ended up passing away. So I went to San Diego, brought my mom back to live with us.
Yeah, I remember you posting that.
Yeah. Yeah. So she lives with us now. But after that, I struggled emotionally, and for obvious reasons, and then the pandemic happened, and right when I started doing my, being self-employed full time, it's fun when the pandemic happens. So anyway, I just was drinking more than I should, and have decided that that's probably not best for me.
So, when you do drink, or when you were drinking, what was your go-to?
I love scotch and whiskey.
Get out of here. Call the police. I'm calling the police. I'm going to have you arrested.
When you decide to return. Let us know.
Scotch?
This would have been the night to do it.
What are we talking about? Johnny Walker Red Label? What are we talking about?
Glenfiddich is mine.
Get out of here. Call the cops.
That's what you had at your wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't drink it. That was for the...
I drank it all.
You don't...
So good.
You don't... Okay, I don't like scotch.
You don't?
Tastes like burnt... let me see. Tastes like burnt bark from like a tree to me. I don't like it. I've never liked scotch. I could never do it. Whiskey, beer, or
that's why you don't go on many dates.
Beer.
How dare you?
You can't keep up with the scotch. Angela.
Sir.
You are a motivational speaker.
Correct.
Out in the wings, ready to motivate. The best way for people to get in touch with you is www.purposebyang.com.
Yes. Or any of my social medias, which are all Purpose by Ange. So
you have a lot going on.
I do.
You have your own business.
I do.
You're a full-time mom.
I am.
Just one last time for the record. How do you keep up with it? Because, we've had several moms on the podcast, and I think we posed the question to all of them. How do you keep up? How do you keep your sanity with juggling your business, your job, your speaking engagements, constantly posting? I mean, your posts are all the time talking to other individuals, just comparing notes. I mean, just looking at your Facebook page makes my head spin.
Yeah.
How do you balance all of this?
A calendar, like really trying to map out my time.
I was 99% confident you were going to say my mom watches the kids, they're in a different room.
No, that's not the case. If I wanted her to or needed her to, she would, but I'm very intentional in not abusing that benefit. I want my mom to be grandma. I don't want her to be second mom. Because grandma's fun,
That's a great example.
And unfortunately, my dad killed himself when I was 14.
Oh.
And so
I did not see that in any of your posts.
I've posted about it, but not a whole lot. And so, they don't have a granddad on my side. Their dad's grandpa or their dad's dad passed away, and so they don't have a grandpa on that side. His mom, she and I have a very close relationship, but she lives in Jersey. We literally have no other family. Like, I have cousins, but they kind of stopped talking to us when their dad died. And that's it. Like, my dad was an only child, and I don't have any family on that side. So I really want my mom to be able to be grandma as much as possible.
Right.
So I try not to, put her in like babysitter mode, unless it's something like this where I'm out of the house. If I'm in the house, I'm actively tending to them. Now I will go in my room, like I have a little area set up. I will go in my room to do my interviews and stuff, and I'll shut and lock my door. They'll come to the door, they'll knock. They know that I'll tell them I'm working, they'll fight, they'll scream, they'll yell, but they'll survive. They'll be fine. I think a big part of my, how do I do it is let shit go, not be a perfectionist, which I'm not a perfectionist at all. And I try not to half-ass things, but I'm not a perfectionist. And then really allowing, having macaroni and cheese for dinner sometimes instead of a full healthy meal, or a sandwich, not all the time, but being able to just really let shit go, because you can't do all the things, and that's okay.
So the secret to being a super mom is just being
a hot mess mom. That's it.
Or what was the I think the group that I was asking you about was it Scary Moms?
Yeah.
Just calling them what it is.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I got all this shit on my plate.
Yeah.
I got 5,000 things I have to think about.
Yeah.
Worry about.
Yeah.
In addition to my kids and what the shit they're getting into.
Yeah. And my calendar, really the calendar is a big factor. So I time block. And so I've time blocked every day to meditate. So I journal in the morning and I meditate midday. Pretty much just like Phil said, where I'll go outside, I'll stand in the grass barefoot. I have some crystals that I'll hold, and I'll just have a moment, 5-10 minutes. I think that's so important. It really makes such a difference.
Centering.
Yeah, centering, grounding. And
kinda
then
get your thoughts for the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember right after me and my wife got married, she was asking me about that, and she was like, what are you doing in the mornings? And I'm like, centering myself. I'm getting my thoughts ready for the day. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I got a lot going on today. I got all this. I got to do this. She's like, you sure are spending a lot of time in the shower. I was just, making sure, you weren't doing anything else. I'm like, well, I'm thinking about I got to do this at 2 o'clock, and I got this at 11 o'clock, and I got this at 5 o'clock.
You turn the lights out when you take a shower, Mitchell? You turn the lights
Candles.
out?
She's like, I'm just checking in on you.
Making sure, yeah.
But to elaborate on that, it is.
He spends twice as long as the shower.
You can meditate in the shower. You can meditate anywhere. You meditate in the car.
Let's take a step back.
Right. Because you wake up, you're groggy. You're like what? You got a lot going on. Like sometimes I don't sleep because of everything. Like last night, I did not sleep. So I'm thinking about this podcast. I'm thinking about the questions to ask you. I'm worried about how to phrase them. I was telling you about the redundancy overlapping between, the way that we ask these questions and the way that you interview your guests. I didn't want it to be like a repeat. I want it to be like, let's refocus on Angela and present Angela, for who she is to a new audience. And I'm going this out, and then my son's crying. I gotta go get him, and then he's peeing in the bed, and I'm like, the questions for Angela, how am I gonna word that? And then he pees in the bed again. I'm like, what time is it? Like 6 o'clock?
Time to get up.
Time to get up, and the little one's like, I don't want to go to school today. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. There's the multitude of thought processes and just getting to here for tonight. But you got 3.
I did.
So you don't sleep at all.
I ended up with 2 of them in my bed last night too, and
there
that was
go.
a fucking nightmare.
Do they just come in there like in the middle of the night?
Yeah. So DL has never been able to be alone. Like he just can't. Like he crawls out of his skin, and so so that he often ends up in my bed, and then I think it's because he's in my bed that little mouse ends up in my bed. It's like, oh, you can't have her by yourself. I got to get in there too, and that just leads to 0 sleep. So
yeah, and when you're in that moment, like it's hard to kick them out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, half the time I don't notice until they're on my head, and then I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. They kick you in your ribs, they kick you in your head, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it would be fine if you just stayed on your side of the damn
Why
bed.
do you sleep on your side like that? Why do you have to be like horizontal?
Yeah.
Why can't you sleep vertical like Eric?
Yeah.
You love your kids, but you got to get your sleep too.
Yeah. What were you going to say about meditation?
Oh, thank you for Mr. Big Money Mitchell. Messed that all up. No. It's important because like you say, I can't imagine the stress that you take on or Mitchell takes on just because you have kids. Like, I don't know what that's like. That's insane to me. Like I go to the mullet hop sometimes by myself, not really, but I've been there, and I see people with a sack of kids, and what the hell? Like, give me a bucket of water, I'll stick my head in there and drown myself. You know what I mean? I'm dead serious. But as far as meditation goes, look, it's something like this is why this room to me has been such a sanctuary for me over the past like 10 years, because I can come in here, I can lock the door, and I can do whatever I want in silence or listen to whatever I want to or do what I want. And it's that, even if it's 5 minutes, just to clear my head. Yeah, I think that's necessary to not go insane, especially when you have so much going on. You got a job, you got whether you're writing a book, you're doing a podcast or whatever, and trying to raise humans at the same time. That's insanity. So that's why every morning, like before I even go to work, like I just sit on the front porch and I make time for that, like 5-10 minutes. Yeah. And just sit there in silence. Yeah. And if I hear a dog bark, I get mad, but I'll sit there and just clear my brain out. You know? Yeah. And it makes for a better day.
It truly does.
It really does.
It truly does. And the more you do it, the better it gets. Like the better you're able to clear and process. And in women, I'm so glad that you do that, but women tend to be the worst at doing things for themselves. They even think something like 10 minutes of meditation is like selfish, and it's absurd that society allows that and has encouraged women to just sacrifice every ounce of themselves for, you know, the greater good. And so I'm always telling women, put it in your calendar, because you need to invest in yourself, and investing 5 or 10 minutes to meditate in yourself is really good.
100%.
I am dying to ask, what is our grade for broadcasting journalism?
Oh, A+.
Before we get to that, because it's absolutely an F.
This setup is legit, man. This is, I mean, you should.
It's exaggerated.
On a scale from F to A, do you feel, because you're the one, you went to school for this, not us, do you feel that these questions were sophisticated enough on a level for the content and the amount of awareness to bring?
I think they were fantastic. A+++.
Say no. Look. So Angela, you're single right now. Is that, am I right in assuming that? Are you dating?
Kind of. Dating is hard, man. It sucks. So, and being a little person adds like a fun layer to it.
What do you mean by fun layer?
You know, like / sarcasm. So there's
Do you go into it like, oh, and by the way, you know, you need to read my article in LPA, and then they read it and they're like, you are way smarter than I am, because I could never write that many words.
So I have after I got divorced, I did the Tinder thing.
How'd that work out? So let's talk about that. Don't go forward. Let's talk about Tinder. How did that play out?
So you know, so in all fairness, okay, so I was in a marriage with a narcissist, and it was very toxic. And when I left that marriage, I had zero self-worth. I did not feel attractive. I thought that I was terrible in bed.
This was 3 years ago, right?
This was just made 4 years.
4 years. So have you bounced back? You've bounced back from then.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did a shit ton of self-help, self-development, personal development, and I'm a completely different person today than I was then. But in all fairness, Tinder kind of played a role in that. So
did it? Or would your mom say it is your inert resilience?
A combination of the two.
The combination of the two.
So I got on Tinder. My kids went away for Christmas to their dad's, and I got on Tinder and matched with some people, chatted with some people, went on a few dates, and while nothing like serious came of it, but I wasn't at that time looking for a serious relationship. I was still just trying to like heal. But I started to feel attractive again. I realized I'm pretty good in bed. Like, you know, it really helped to kind of squash the things that had happened in my marriage that had kind of ruined who I was.
Was he like boxing you in? Like pitting you into a category, like this is how he sees you, these are your perimeters, you know?
No, he was just insulting and would tell me, you know, that I was overweight and unattractive and terrible in bed, and that we had a really terrible sex life because, you know, it was just awful. So
right, one-way street.
Yeah. Right. So
gotta get out, dude.
Yeah.
Gotta move on to better things.
That's what she said. Yeah.
So, you know, so Tinder, in all fairness, did play that role.
I think she said she had to move on to bigger things. I think you misheard me.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
It's the whiskey.
We're getting pulled right now.
YouTube's closing us down.
So, but I'm not on Tinder now. It's not because I'm now looking for something a little bit more serious.
You should get on Bumble.
Bumble's the same thing. Bumble's just like Tinder.
No, Bumble is for respectable women looking for lifelong
You
mates.
start talking about all these Bumbles and things. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mitchell.
Count
Just calm down.
your blessings.
Yeah.
Bumble. I did Bumble. I did Plenty of Fish. They're all the same, and you literally see see the same people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all
Plenty
the
of
same.
Fish is.
Yeah, I didn't.
Junk.
I
Don't
was
do
on
that.
Plenty of Fish for like 5 minutes,
Yeah,
but
don't do that.
you know,
Is there an advantage? I mean, I don't understand the platform. So is there an advantage to one over the other?
Yes, absolutely. What apps are you on now?
So I'm not on any dating apps.
So how are you?
So you're going
meeting?
old school. You're like, meet me in person.
You're meeting people in the
and
library.
Let's
and
talk about
church and things like that.
Church, not church. So
the rock show, man.
So to answer your question, Bumble is where the female has to make contact first.
Right.
Like
if
a bee?
If you match. No, calm down. Let me explain
Well, I'm just
this.
trying to figure out why it's called Bumble. It
Okay,
sounds like
let me explain
Bumblebee.
this.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you have to do with like queen bee,
So
like
look.
just selecting her mate.
I'll explain it.
You need to speak to the creator for that.
I'm a professional, first of all. So when someone likes you, they go into your beeline, right? And there's the little honeycombs and shit. And so if you like them back, then you have to wait as a male. You have to wait until the female messages you.
You get stung?
Which gives a piece of
If you're lucky.
which gives you a little the female a bit of comfort in knowing that she's not going to get bombarded with guys sending her whatever messages
Hey.
or pics or
Hey, people.
hey girl, ooh, check out my face tattoo. You know what I mean? And so the girl can message the guy, which for me, a guy like me, it makes me more comfortable. You know what I mean? Because it's like the girl is showing intent. Like I don't feel like a predator messing with this girl online, and it's much more. So you get a bit higher quality souls on there. Absolutely.
It sounds like digital chemistry to me.
It's true. She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It is a little bit better. It is because
It's not like going to CPR Fest and, drinking a couple beers and just kind of dancing out in the mud and being like, yo,
yeah.
you want to hang out?
Yeah.
after this?
So that's what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for something a little bit more organic.
For someone to dance in the mud with.
How many guys are you talking to right now? 6, 7?
No. I'm not talking to. I'm only talking to one guy right now. And honestly, he's a friend who it may or may not evolve.
Is he cute?
I think he's cute.
1 to 10.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like at our age, it's kind of like more about, does this work on a level, beyond cute?
Oh,
Right?
hands down.
You're like,
God, yeah.
eh,
Shit,
do
we're pushing 40.
Yeah, you're like, can I do 40 years with this person?
Right.
Will they take care of me when I'm on my deathbed?
Right.
Can I
Yeah.
see them raising kids in the same?
Are they going to be? So, I have 3 kids. I need a good stepdad. I need a guy who's going to be a good model for my son. I need a guy who's going to be able to handle things regarding my daughter's dwarfism, and so I'm a big believer in law of attraction. And I know that I'm put on this earth to be a wife. Like I am a nurturer. I am empathic. I am meant to pour into someone. I pour into people all the time. So I am meant to have a partner that I can pour into.
Or were you put on this earth to be a shining example of a human being?
I mean that too.
Because I feel that is your purpose by any.
Sure. But so I'm not doing any of the online dating stuff. I have gone out with guys from Facebook, like that have Facebook friended me, and we've chatted, and then so I've done that, which I guess is similar. But
I keep telling him that. I'm like, look, you talk to all these girls, it's like it doesn't go anywhere. It's just tether. It's just digital conversations in the ether world. It's like you need to get in a room with actual red-blooded, human beings and sit
Red-blooded.
down right across from them, you know, and have conversations with them, find out, you know, the good and the bad, and if it balances out, if they're on the same page as you. It's you're not going to get that like doing all this, you know, Tinder or Bumble crap, you know, whatever. Yeah. You know, you're doing.
One girl was in a gang that didn't work out. Yeah, so let me tell you this real quick before we end this. Friend of mine said, go hang out with this girl, right? You're gonna like her. She's gonna love you because I know you and I know her. I've been friends with her forever. And I was like, you know what? We've been friends for a long time. I trust you. I'm gonna go out with this chick, right? So we go out, meet her. Everything's going great, right? I make a joke. We get in a deep conversation. We're drinking. Everything's going great. And I make a joke and I said, you know, if I were to join a gang at this point in my life, I feel like I would start off in the gang at a higher rank than say a 16-year-old, right? I think I can skip the being jumped in. I don't think I have to do any crimes to get in. I should start off like 3 ranks up because I've seen some shit. I'm slightly educated. I'm slightly successful, right? And she's like, that's not how it works. And first of all, I'm looking at your face and that's not funny. I'd appreciate if you didn't make jokes about that because it's not funny. And I was like, what? Because this is totally a joke. Like I'm totally joking.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Like if I were to join a gang, like I should be a couple tiers up. You know what I mean? I'm 34. I'm not 16, right? Well, she got serious as shit, and she's like, well, let me tell you how this works. And she's laying out like the levels of being in a gang. And I was like, hey, are you in a gang? And you know what she said? She's like, well, no, I'm not like technically in a gang. I'm affiliated. I was like, what does that mean? Are you in a gang or no? She's like, yeah, I'm in a gang. And I was like, you're like 33 with 2 kids. How does that happen? In D'Iberville. Like there's like what you don't need like protection, you know what I mean? And anyway, she's like, well, what do you think about being in a gang? And I was like, well, in your situation or my situation, it's like it's kind of dumb, you know? And I was like, you know, like we don't live in Compton, like there's not we're not getting shot at. I don't need protection. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Point? I get it if you're in Southside Chicago, you kind of got to join a gang. Like I get the aspects of it.
Right. I've seen The Wire. I know how it works, but that's not how it is.
But I've driven through D'Iberville. You know what I mean? Yeah. And anyway, she called for the check. Right?
She was done.
And the friend told me that she did not want to see me again because I was not about that life.
Oh, man.
And I was like, shit.
Damn.
That was tough. So.
I had a guy, so we met on Tinder and we chatted. He lived in New Orleans at the time and we never met up. Like we always talked about it. We never did. And then he ended up moving to Miami. But he still had family here. So we would chat from time to time. Hey, how are you? That, dumb shit. And he came up from Miami to visit family. And, hey, I'm coming to town. I know we haven't had a chance to meet up. I'd love to take you out, da-da-da. And it just happened to work out. And I was like, yeah, sure. So we went to dinner. It was fine. We were chatting. Everything was great. And then we're going to go to a bar afterwards. And on the way, I just started to get I rode with him. I just started to get this feeling, and I was like,
well, like uncomfortable, or?
Yeah, and it wasn't anything. He didn't say anything. I can't pinpoint it, but I just started to get this feeling, and I've learned to trust that feeling, and so texted my friend to bail me out, and she did. She called me and had her son screaming in the background, and she called me to tell me oh, you gotta come now, DL's freaking out, da-da-da. And so I left, and then the next day he texted me. It was my birthday and he wanted to take me to brunch, and I was like, well, my mom's doing lunch, what time are you thinking? She's already got plans for me. And and then it turned very quickly, where he started accusing me of being a gold digger. And
what?
yeah, and we went to Patio 44, so it wasn't like, you know, and that I obviously do this all the time. I get guys to take me out, and
because you wouldn't do something
pay for
like,
I guess, yeah.
Did he insinuate that?
Not specifically, no.
You were talking on a second date, right?
First.
Oh, well,
first date. Yeah. Then he sent me a Cash App invoice for half of dinner.
What?
What?
Are you serious?
Dead ass. Yeah. Dead ass. Yeah. And so,
wow.
Yeah, he told me I didn't have any integrity. Like, he just went on, and then I just blocked him because I'm like, dude, I don't even fuck that. So yeah, so dating's been fun.
Yeah, Jesus God. Yeah, I'm telling you the PG
your dates
stuff.
Invoices when it doesn't work out.
I'm in the negative for financial. When it comes to that, yeah. No, but first of all, one thing I'm going to go against you about is you said you had somebody call you and bail you out of the first date. What was the story? Well, like they called you and said like the kid's freaking out. Yeah, been through that on the other end. Yeah. Thank you for your sympathy.
Sorry about that.
Thank you for your sympathy. But it's a terrible feeling having the bartenders bring you free drinks and saying like, "I saw what happened, bro."
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I didn't send the girl an invoice. I should have sent her an invoice.
I don't think she could have paid for it.
I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna send her an invoice for $18. Be like, yo.
You know, and another thing that I can't believe I didn't mention with the Tinder thing, you have to weed out. Well, with any dating, you have to weed out the people who are looking for fetishism, who really want to. I've always wanted to have sex with a little person. I've always wanted, and they'll say that straight up. Like they'll say,
really?
Yeah, and I don't know if they think it's a compliment because they say it so boldly, like it's not the most ridiculous thing that you could possibly say to somebody, because it is.
What I mean, like, just get into the psychological understanding of that. Red flag.
Yeah, there's a Facebook group for people who are into that. Like there's an entire Facebook group of men who they post pictures of little women because they have such a fetish. There's there's people on Facebook who will friend multiple little women because they have such a fascination and hard on for it. It's so when I get friend requests, like I try to stay at like 49, 50 so that I can take more friends. So I weed out friends often that aren't really interacting with me. But when I get friend requests, like I look at their profile and such, and if I see that they're an average type man and they have more than like 3 LP female friends and they don't have any actual connection, like they don't have any kids or anything, then I delete them. And then we have an LP woman group, and we will post in that, like, hey, I call them the collectors, because they collect female LP Facebook friends. It's insane. And I don't, I interviewed Samantha last night, and we talked about it. She's an extremely attractive little person, and we talked about dating, and we were talking about how like they'll talk about like spinning us. Like I'm like, dude, that's not.
Say that again.
They'll talk about like spinning us like a top. Like they really think that they can just like manipulate, like move and just and I'm like, dude, I'm solid. Like that's not. I don't know if you've seen this, but this isn't. I'm not 20 pounds. Like that doesn't work like that. And I don't know if you know how physics work, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. People
are just weird. So that's something else you have to be like very mindful of when you're dating. they don't always say it first. Sometimes they say it while you're on the date. And then that's
Really?
when it's like,
You've encountered that?
What?
And they're like, "Can I take a picture with you?"
How do you like if somebody says like
I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
Just like-
react to that?
I mean, like pretty much at that point in the date, you're like, "Fuck off."
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So it's just,
That's just manipulation. That's
Yeah. Do you
that's
take a
not
phone
even-
call at that point? Like, how does that
I
work?
just leave. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
I say that's not at all okay.
Is that a normal thing? Like, does that happen more than once? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but usually you can pick up on it before you get to the date. Usually they say something, even if it's not blatant. They say something or do something that makes you like, bye. So that's one of the reasons why dating sucks. And then you're in South Mississippi, and I'm like hardcore liberal,
All right,
so that makes it even harder.
Let's dial it back. You're gonna encounter weird people wherever you go. Okay?
Sure.
People with different outlooks, different interests. Like, this is gonna happen.
Fair
It's
enough.
It's just Mississippi.
Fair enough.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to plug, Angela?
So I have a kids program that I started, and I'm super excited about it. During the pandemic, so many of us are much more stationary and not moving as much as we should, especially kids doing distance learning and things like that. And I've had several parents reach out to me and ask me like for tips and tricks and suggestions because they're concerned about their children's weight. And I just want to clarify, weight in and of itself is not an issue. It's the effects of it that can be an issue. And so I decided to start a program. So I started a kids program. It's a full spectrum coaching program. I have a littles group, which is, up to like 7 or 8. And then I have a bigs group where they're up to like 14. And it includes a weekly nutrition class, a weekly personal training session, and a weekly coaching session. And so the nutrition class is based on positive. It's a very positive experience. There's no talk about weight. There's no talk about losing weight. There's no talk about cosmetic, like look how you look. It's all about focusing on maximizing your vitamins, your minerals, your veggies, that kind of thing, feeding our bodies healthily, and moving, and the importance of moving. So so far it's going really well, and I think I'm going to open a second session in December. I just have to see how that works out.
Ooh.
It's awesome. I'm super proud of it and super proud of my kids. It's incredible.
They should be super proud of you.
Oh, they love me, which is great. It's funny.
Your kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna be like, you know what? Mom was the shit. She was a fighter and an advocate, and she was out there
I hope so.
doing it in the trenches.
She went on the most controversial lowdown podcast.
Yeah, this will be a footnote in your book.
We should be on the Mississippi state flag at this point. You know what I'm saying? Don't spit your drink up. That was a good joke.
We have honorary degrees in broadcasting.
We do. We just don't have the paperwork to support that claim.
But no, your kids are gonna be like, I mean, if I know they're young, but as they get older, they're gonna realize like all the shit that you have to go through, that you have to deal with just on your end, and then the addition of raising children, and then they're gonna look back and be like, well, she was fucking doing her own video streams, and she was doing her own business, and she's motivational speaker at these events. I mean, mom was covering all bases. I mean, and raising us and telling us to chill. That's what I was going to tell you. I meant to say that earlier. One of the things I love when I was watching your videos, when you're like, I think my kids are fighting. We might have to take a break here. Or can you go see what happened in the kitchen? It's like, oh, I think somebody got... And it's like in the middle of the interview.
I was trying to decide, like, do I really need to go break it up, or are they going to resolve it themselves? Like, It's real life.
But you are the real deal celebrity.
Okay.
No, I'm being honest here.
Whatever we say from this point on is truth. So just take it.
Yeah. No, because anyone who goes to your page or to your website, and I've said this like 5 times already tonight, you know, if they don't already know who you are and your services, training, nutrition, motivational speaking, life coach, I mean, you know, they go to any one of your pages, they're going to be like, oh, this person does not stop. This is, you know, constant. Like when you say I'm an open book, like literally you are an open, I mean, like the posts that you make, you use constant examples of your everyday life, you know, and I'm reading it. I'm like, I can relate to some of these things.
Sure.
You know, I'm just like, you are, you know, I was saying you are a machine. You are a vlogging machine. You know, I'm just like with the video posts, everything.
I do hope that my kids, you know, look back like they are my reason. So
they're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, yeah, you're a super mom by definition, super mom for real.
Yeah, they are my why. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 7 levels of why from Dean Grazio, but they are my why. I want my kids to have the best possible life. And that doesn't mean an entitled life. That doesn't mean that, you know, they have everything, but I want them to have the best possible life. And so that is my focus in all that I do. So I do hope that they look back and see that. And they're great kids. Like they appreciate me now, which is a blessing because not a lot, that doesn't happen a lot. My oldest wants to be a health coach. DL's always telling people about me. Like it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
They know what the deal is. Like my mom's the shit. You need to go check her out.
What's
not on this podcast though. You need to go watch her videos.
What's the website?
www.purposebyang, which is ang.com, and all of my socials are the same. Purpose by Ange.
There you have it. Thanks, Angela Singletary. Thanks, Mitchell Gruich, MG3 the third. The Croatian
Thank
sensation.
you for taking out time in your busy day. I know you had 2 engagements today. You have a very, very busy week. Thank you so much again for coming on here and letting us bounce some questions off of you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do some shots. Thanks, guys. See you later.